Now the girl is holding a letter in her hands, which says that if the lady had married right away, she would not have had to fall into eternal sleep. The main character squeezes this letter and wonders if these are the last words they say to their daughter, and what kind of nonsense is this? Soon she will be put into eternal sleep like a dog, and the only thing she gets from her parents is a dry loaf of bread. And this is not even funny. The girl grew up in South Korea in the 21st century and got a job as an architect, but on the very first working day, she got into an accident, after which she found herself in another world Everton, where she hoped to live a better life. But the parents of her second life went crazy because of money and wanted to sell her. And so the girl with difficulty escaped and became an apprentice architect, hoping to finally realize her dream. And right then, the ruler tyrant Everton named her Veto. He gave the crazy order to put all the architects into eternal sleep just because his fiancée escaped through a secret passage in the fortress wall. For this reason, even apprentices like her ended up in prison. The girl understands that if she were an architect, it would at least not be so offensive, but she only made rough sketches. At the same moment, the girl notices someone else, after which she approaches this lady and apologizes, and also offers her to eat at least this. The woman then claims that the girl is very kind. She also hands her a reward for her kindness when the main character looks at her hands. Then he asks in shock if the lady is really giving her such an expensive ring for free. The girl also says that you shouldn't believe her, even if she takes it. But at that very moment, someone grabs her by the clothes and screams for all the architects to be pulled out. By order of His Majesty, they execute all infidels without mercy. One of the men throws the lady onto the cold floor, after which he points the blade of the sword at her. The main character wonders if she will really fall into eternal sleep again in such a miserable way. Since she falls into eternal sleep without having time to realize her dream, why was it necessary to give her a second life? The girl understands that she is very tired, so she asks me to let her be born again. But at that very moment, the lady realizes that she has ended up in another body and wonders if she has been reborn again. But she begged so much. But they gave her a third life, and the girl thinks what kind of unprecedented cruelty this is. Well then, she also thinks that maybe there is some reason for this, and in that case, can she hope for something good in this life? But at that very moment, someone cries out, "What does it mean that there is no hope?" And one of the servants asks for forgiveness, but claims that he does not see a way how she could be saved. At the same moment, the maid cries next to her mistress and screams that she must open her eyes. The main character understands that something strange is happening there. The man immediately screams to let the messenger out, but the other one replies that the monsters have blocked all the ways out of there so that no one is ready to go, and then let them at least contact the magic tower. But at the same moment, someone claims that it is too late because the lady has just stopped breathing. The main character understands that, of course, her whole life has been rather unsuccessful, but this time even the first impression is very so-so. Enough time has passed since the beginning of her 3 lives, and the girl looks at her unattractive thin arms, and also understands that she is treated worse than animals. At the same moment, the lady notices that the filmmaker has started. A skinny girl who hasn't been able to drink a drop of water for several days. That's what she is like in this reincarnation. The main character wonders if her parents have abandoned her again in this life. But all this time, she didn't even know who she was and barely survived in the cramped little room. A little while later, the lady reaches for a piece of bread. The girl understands that there is still a little bit left, and when she finally reaches him, she rejoices. The main character immediately bites into this bread, but at the same moment, she realizes that it is stale and smells unpleasant. But since there would be nothing else to eat until tomorrow evening, she had to eat at least this. At the same moment, the girl hears someone else enter the room and asks what she is doing there. And also, did she steal bread again? To which the lady replies that no, but when she wants to say something else, then the woman screams at the girl to tell it like it is before she throws her out. The lady immediately apologizes and says that it is all her fault. At the same moment, her interlocutor hits the little girl, and she screams that she has breadcrumbs in the corners of her mouth. So why is she laughing at her? The woman screams again. What a little thief the girl is, and let her know that she won't eat anything for a whole week. The main character thinks what she did that cancer treats her like that, but at the same moment, the woman grabs the lady by the clothes. and he screams that she is of no use, after which he asks why she is whining so loudly. In the body and with the consciousness of a child, the girl will no longer be able to bear it, and the lady understands that she doesn't care who, but she asks for help. At the same moment, someone else enters the room and asks what she is doing there. The woman turns around in shock and asks if this is His Highness the Duke. The main character looks at this man through tears and wonders if this is really the Duke. She also does not understand what such a person is doing there. The woman at the same moment screams at His Highness that he has misunderstood everything. But when the man once again asks what she is doing, his interlocutor immediately falls to the floor and screams that she is very sorry, and of course she made a mistake today. All this time, she sincerely looked after the mistress. The main character wonders if this is His Highness the Duke, and what brought such a person there. She doesn't know who he is, but judging by the way he scolds this woman, this man will be able to help her. The little girl immediately runs up to him and claims that it's not true, because she was beaten there all the time. Every day they offended and starved her. But she is still small, but she will do everything he asks. The baby mentally asks him to take her away from there, after which the man takes the lady in his arms, and he says how light she is. When he is about to leave, he only says to deal with this woman. The main character understands that at that moment, as if it was an obsession, she fell into a deep sleep and slept long and soundly. A little while later, the lady is already in the Duchy of Adante, and when the baby opens her eyes, then he wonders where she is. At that very moment, someone turns to the lady and asks if she is awake. The little girl gets a little scared by this, and when she turns to this lady, she asks if she really scared her. The girl asks who she is, and the woman greets the lady and claims that her name is Eliza. She is her nanny, and they have only just now finally met, and from then on, she will take care of the lady. The main character asks if this is really a nanny, and her interlocutor replies that before her immersion into eternal sleep, the mistress entrusted her with the care of the lady. The girl wonders if this place is her home. She also remembers how someone screamed that the mistress should open her eyes. The woman who fell into eternal sleep during her birth was called the lady, and all this time the baby did not fully understand, but it seemed that she was her mother. The nanny claims that the lady wanted to visit her parents before giving birth, but on the way, she started having contractions, and even despite being immersed in eternal sleep, they couldn't immediately take her away financially because the lady was calling everyone around her monsters. And all these 3 years, they waited for the day when they could finally meet her. But the main characters do not answer, that they said that no one is looking for her, and that she was thrown out like trash. Well, not at that very moment, she cries out, "Did this woman really say that?" But she knew that she was a scoundrel, so let the lady not believe nonsense. The little girl wonders if the nanny's words are true, because in that case she has a very important question. The girl turns to Eliza and claims that she wants to ask something. The woman replies that yes, and the mistress can ask anything, after which the main character asks what her name is. Eliza held her tiny hand and explained everything to her. Starting from birth, she also constantly lamented how she was brought to this and then called to the table. A little while later, the maid says how sweet the lady is, and the main character realizes that her name is Vivier Adante. Her homeland, as in her past life, is Everton. It's really amazing because just yesterday the little girl couldn't eat or wash herself, but now she's like a real rich lady, just like her name Vivier. The maid examined the mistress's outfit and said how it suits her. She also asks if it is worth going to pass it on, and then they will go for a walk, to which the baby agrees. The girl understands that in her past life, she was never treated like this, so she still feels uncomfortable. Of course, it's good that she woke up like this one morning as a young duchess. But still, something doesn't give her peace, because this place is the very one that is known for its severity. The estate of the Andante family, because it is in this family that during a quarrel, a sword can be pointed at a blood relative. A little while later, the main character sees the Duke, after which someone tells him that the young lady has arrived. The girl understands that there are rumors about his immense cruelty, but she does not know why he looks at his newfound daughter with such eyes, and if you believe the rumors, then each generation of the Andante family has special abilities. But when he realizes that she doesn't have them, and the girl is very different from her relatives, then he will only say to deal with her, as with the woman who was looking after her. In any case, She's not going to just fall into eternal sleep like it was in her second life. And now the girl will live long and successfully, so she needs to appear in the best light in front of her daddy. At this time, the girl sees some papers in his hands and wonders if these are math problems. The little girl runs to him at that moment and understands that this is her chance. The maid asks where the mistress is going. The girl understands that this is an exact problem of finding the area of a circle, and when she approaches the Duke, she only tells him to give these papers to her. People understand that she studied at the architecture department for all 5 years with straight A's. She is a techie to the core of the guests, so this is easy for her, and she will solve it in 3 seconds. At the same moment, the girl repeats again that he should give her these papers. But the nanny turns to the lady, after which he asks the Duke for forgiveness, because Madame Vivier is so curious. The man then hands the little papers to her and offers to see what she is going to do. The main character, looking at them, understands that, as she thought, this is a task to find the area of a circle. The Andante family specializes in the production and improvement of weapons and magical items, and now she understands how they create fire circles for use in battle. A little while later, the girl solves the problem, and when she shows it to her father, she claims that the area of the circle is 113.04. Well, at that very moment, the girl understands that this is a problem, because now in this world there is still no advanced system of knowledge, so the task is not easy. The lady also thinks, how can she explain that she solved it in less than 3 minutes, because it looks so suspicious. The Duke at the same moment asks how she found it, and whether it was really that woman who taught her this. The main character thinks about her previous nanny, and understands that there is no way in the world she would even tell her her name. The little girl immediately answers that no, and she just knew it, because as soon as she saw it, it somehow resolved itself. To ask her about anything else, and the nanny tells the Duke, it seems that the lady has inherited the Andante family's red liquid. The man asks if she thinks so, and the main character understands that the nanny is a good girl, and it is necessary to quickly change the subject. The little girl claims that she wants to say something else, after which she says that she wants to eat, and the Duke orders food to be prepared. A little while later, the little girl looks at all the dishes with admiration, and the chef approves. The doctor said that the baby needs to increase the amount of food gradually, so they couldn't prepare much. The lady understands that there is quite a lot there, and remembers how the Duke said before the meeting that they should not allow her belly to become empty. The lady looks at the dish and wonders if this is the power of mathematical problems, but her dad's gaze has become more tender than before. The baby also thinks if everything is okay, and a little while later, someone says that it is time to show the lady the duchy, but she would like to start from there again. This is the place that Mother Mistress loved most of all. The main character says that it is beautiful, and the maid claims that the Duke ordered to keep everything as it was during the life of his wife. So 5 people are tending to the ambushes, which surprises the little girl. Vivier understands that the day is cold, but everything is blooming, and it seems like he doesn't take good care of the garden. And Daddy seems very scary, but he treated Mom somehow in a special way. At this time, the nanny notices something on the baby's hand and wonders if she really has a ring from her mother on her finger. She wore it all her life, and it is true that the size changes to suit the owner. The main character asks if this is her mother's ring. However, she understands that it is a ring, which was given to her by some pregnant woman right before she fell into eternal sleep in her past life. The little girl also thinks how this happened, and she can't ask the nanny about anything. Well, at that very moment, someone wonders what the girl is doing in the garden, and when the main character turns around, she understands that this is her father. The maid tells the Duke that she brought the mistress there to help her get over the obligation, and the main character wonders why this man is looking at her with such a look. The little girl also wonders if he doesn't like that she's there, but she's so scared. At the same moment, the little girl notices something else, and when she looks under her foot, she realizes that there is a trampled flower there. Vivier thinks that this is a disaster, because the garden that Daddy took such good care of is now destroyed. Judging by his face, he is very angry, and the girl is thinking what to do, because if she is kicked out like this, it will be bad. The man then approaches the lady and takes her hand, and the girl at that very moment remembers how the woman who was looking after her turned white and screamed that she was a little thief. Vivier. She understands that because of such a serious mistake, she will probably be beaten and thrown out. After which, the girl claims that she is guilty. Well, a little while later, the little girl is sitting at the table, and she wonders if she was kicked out. The lady also sees math problems in front of her. The girl wonders if her father really wanted to say that if she doesn't want to fly out of there, she should solve them all. Probably worth starting. But when the lady takes one of the papers, someone immediately turns to the lady. One of the women claims that by order of the Duke, they will now be her personal maid's assistants. These two are named Lydia and Jane. One of the maids claims that this is a gift that the Duke gave her, and the main character wonders if her father really sent her a gift. And he also assigned 2 personal maids, so it looks like he's not going to kick her out right now. Jane claims that she heard that this is the Duke's favorite pen, and Lydia says that it seems that the Duke really pays a lot of attention to the lady. The girl, looking at the feather, realizes that there is even a family coat of arms depicted there. If she is kicked out, then it will be possible to sell her and hold out for some time. At the same moment, one of the maids turns to the mistress and tells her to try this again. Lydia claims that they say these are the most delicious cookies, that the capital's master bakes no more than 100 pieces a day. When the main character tries it, she wonders what kind of taste it is, because before she could only eat stale breadcrumbs. And here everything that they give her is very tasty, and today's cookies are generally beyond all praise. The little girl thinks what happiness this is, after which she turns to the 2 maids. She also hands them cookies and suggests that they eat together, since she can't eat everything herself. Well, one of them asks if they can eat such precious cookies. The main character replies that everything is fine, but if they have something tasty in return, they will also share it with her, to which they answer the lady that it is a must. One of them claims that she is looking forward to the lady's birthday party that will be in a month. The main character understands that this place is not yet familiar to her, and it is not easy to get used to it being in the body of a little girl. But she wants to live long and successfully together where there is no need to worry about food, and at least until she grows up. Vivier would not be an adult for a long time yet, so she had a lot of time until then, and so the girl thought. But a month later, someone cries out to the Duke that the lady has disappeared, and the girl, being in the forest, understands that it was as if a blow had struck in the middle of the night. After all, for some reason, she suddenly became an adult. A little while ago, the girl woke up as usual. Well, when she wanted to fall into bed again, the maid put a pillow under her, and the mistress claimed that she was right. I felt that it would be like this. The woman also said that the lady needs to get up, and the baby said that she is now at the age when she needs to sleep a lot. And yet one of them claimed that today it was impossible, after which she claimed that she was washing the lady so that she would wake up faster. When the maid did this, the main character thought how good it was to be a lady from a rich ducal family. Jane asked if the lady remembered that today was her birthday. The main character thinks, is it really so? A whole month has already passed since she found herself in the duchy, and during this time she learned something from the maids, namely that she was reborn after 100 years. Vivier asked about the time when the tyrant ordered all the architects to be put into eternal sleep, and she was told that 100 years had passed since then. The tyrant ended his acute management about 70 years ago. Even after such a vile act, he remained on the throne for 30 years. And now their girl has fallen into eternal sleep. Well, she still has no words, and it's so disgusting, and she still can't get used to this face. When the lady touches it, she thinks how soft it is. Well, at the same moment, the maid behind her asks, "Is the lady really doing something?" Cute, and the other one claims that it was necessary to get the recording stone. Jane says that it is such a pity that such cuteness can only be left in one's memory. And Lydia asks if the lady can repeat it again. The main character agrees and thinks, who would have thought that she would do something like this with her own hands? But when a girl thinks that this can be considered fan service, and there is nothing wrong with it, the maids immediately say how sweet the lady is. And another 30 minutes later, the girl was sitting at the table and saying that Daddy wasn't here yet. The lady understands why he doesn't want to come, because on her birthday he lost his wife, and yet she waited for him a little. At this time, the nanny suggests that the lady wait a little longer, because the Duke will soon arrive. Well, the main character replies that no. She suggests that they just make a wish. The woman asks what wish she wants to make, and the little girl replies that it is simply so that next year she can spend her birthday with her daddy. But at the same time, someone claims that it looks like this desire will not be needed. It turns out to be the Duke, and the man takes off his helmet, claiming that business has delayed him. Vivier asks if it is Daddy, and the man asks how long she waited, to which the girl replies that not very long. One of the maids thanks him for coming. The man then claims that there was a gang of robbers in the area, and if he hadn't dealt with it, the local residents could have suffered, so next year he won't be late. The main character wonders if it just seems to her, or if he really says it as if he is apologizing because he was late because something very important happened. Someone once said that if a person has done something good, it is impossible to overpraise him. So in order to look better in front of her daddy, she says that he is so cool because he can punish bad people. So Daddy is the best. After which the man just silently sits down at the table, and the girl thinks what to do with this atmosphere now. Vivier understands that she wants to hide under the baseboard, and the man asks what these fingers mean. The little girl replies that this means that you can take over the world with coolness and wonders if he will buy it. After which the man says that in this case, the baby should continue to sit like that. At the same moment, the nanny tells the Duke that they have prepared a cake, and the man tells the girl to lower her hands. The main character agrees and understands that in her first life, the only person who congratulated her on her birthday was this advertising message, and in her second life, she lived completely forgetting that such a day exists. Now, someone is screaming for the lady to blow out the candles and make a wish, after which the lady does so and thinks that maybe this is why she is so grateful to those who are now congratulating her. The Duke also congratulates the lady and asks what she wants to receive. The girl asks if he is talking about a gift, and the man wonders if she really thought that she would just spend her birthday without any gifts. Vivier answers that it is not about that, and she just doesn't know yet. The lady thinks what she should do, since she has already received so much. Tell him what she wants before her next birthday, and now he will go. At this time, the lady notices something on her father's shoulders, and wonders if this is a red liquid, and if he is wounded. After which, the people turn to Daddy, and when he turns around, the girl understands that his face is exactly as if nothing had happened, after which she replies that nothing had happened and wishes him a safe journey. The little girl realizes that she must have seen something wrong. A little while later, the maid carries the lady and claims that the birthday party is over, so they can go into the room and she will sing the lady a lullaby, to which she replies that it is excellent and suggests that they quickly go into the room. After all, you need to sleep more to grow up quickly, and the woman wonders if the lady really wants to become an adult sooner. The baby replies that yes, and she wants to grow up faster. The girl understands that if she grows up to be able to take over the whole world, then this time she will definitely survive. For this reason, she told her that she wanted to become an adult, but this was not what she wanted at all. When the lady woke up and looked at herself in the mirror, she wondered why her body had suddenly increased in size. The girl also wondered what she should do, because this had never happened in any of her past lives. After which she understood that she needed to calm down first and think about how she should act right now. It's quiet outside and there are no other people, so if she just sits there, she will decide that she kidnapped herself, and that will be tantamount to execution. After which the lady understood that first she needed to run, and now she understands that no one should notice her. She needed to hold out until the morning and then think. But at that moment, someone turned to the food and asked where she was going in the middle of the night. The main character turned around and realized that the color hurt her eyes, and that it was a soldier guarding the exit. At this time, the man claimed that it seemed he was seeing her for the first time, and also screamed for the girl to tell him who she was. A little while later, the Duke asks why they are standing there and suggests that they go to work. But then one of the servants tells the Duke that I almost spread throughout his entire body, and that he was treated with the Holy Spirit for 8 o'clock. He knows that there are many enemies everywhere, so why does he act this way? To which the man only responds that the Baron talks too much. Well, then his interlocutor cries out to His Highness and asks if he has forgotten that one of his duties is to take care of them. He probably knew that these robbers had greased the tip of the arrow with Adam, so why didn't he immediately receive preventive treatment? The man only remains silent in response to this, and remembers how his daughter thanked her daddy for coming, and the Duke replies that they found out what poison they used, so it wasn't a waste of time. But when one of them claims that the Duke understands that this is not what they meant, Then the maid bursts into the room and screams that a disaster has occurred. He asks what happened, and the maid replies that Madame Vivier has disappeared. The Duke, shocked, asks what she's talking about. Last night, when one of the knights asked the lady where she was going and who she was, the girl didn't even know what to answer and understood that she needed to calm down because she could get out of there. The lady claimed that she was a servant of Madame Vivier, and her name was Siona. The man claimed that it seemed like he was seeing her for the first time, but the girl replied that they had probably already met. The little girl mentally asked him to believe her, and then one of them claimed that he usually had trouble remembering faces, and also said that then the lady could go about her business. Vivier thought what luck this was, and this was her first time going outside the ducal fortress. Of course, she had to find a way to become a baby again, but it's still curious what the world has become in the 100 years since she was alive. Of course, the memories of Everton from her past life aren't very good, but curiosity is still stronger, so everything has probably changed a lot. However, when the girl goes outside, she is shocked and thinks, "What is this?" Because in front of her, she sees ruined buildings. Looking at the houses, the girl wonders why they all look like this. It seems as if someone bombed this city. The Hebrew she knows has never been such a ruin. A little while later, people sit down under one of the trees. The girl thinks that only now she is beginning to understand the conversations that go on between the servants. One of them asked if the other had heard that Nellen's house had finally collapsed, and that she was now moving to a survivor's camp. Another one answered that it was terrible, and what to do, to which her interlocutor claimed that it would be good if there was no rain this year, because she was so afraid that because of the rain, their house might not be able to withstand it. The girl was surprised that they were worried that their houses would collapse, but she could not imagine that outside the fortress, everything was so deplorable. But the lady wonders why Hebrew has degraded so much, and whether this really happened after that, how an order was issued for all architects to be caught and sent to the chopping block. A little while later, the lady opens her eyes and realizes that she seems to have fallen asleep. She also notices that her body is still the same, and thinks about what she needs to do to become a baby again. First of all, she can't just stay in one place, so she needs to go somewhere. And for this, something else needs to be done. But when the lady brings a decorative dagger that she grabbed on the way from the castle to the stall, the man claims that he will not give more than 1 gold piece. The girl asks what it is about, and she won't sell it for that price because it has a special design. The man asks what is so special about it, after which he says okay, and he will give 1 gold and 2 silver ones. Their family has always been involved in large-scale construction, but now he sits and trades without girls. Vivier wonders if he is talking about large-scale construction, and if he really means that time, when great engineers of the past 100 years ago took part in large construction projects. He turns to the gentleman and asks if he is from a family of artisans, and therefore can also do construction. The man replies that in order to find out, you need to try, and usually everyone is only doing repairs. And who is it that builds new houses in their time? He also suggests to the lady to stop, take the money, and leave. And the lady thinks, is he really saying that nothing new is being built? It seems that there are simply no architects left, and even if you try to find a guest house, they are all in such a state that they are not much different from the street. Even if it's to earn money, there's no particular point in it, and she has no idea where to go or what to do. If the girl cannot return to the child's body, she will most likely never see the maids or Eliza again. It's a little upsetting, because they were the first ones to treat her kindly, and if the girl knew that they would have to part like this, then she probably shouldn't have said that she wanted to grow up quickly. After which the lady claims that she wants to go back, and at the same moment, she begins to feel somehow strange. The girl thinks why she suddenly wants to sleep so much, and when she falls to the floor, her ring starts to glow. A little while later, someone approaches the lady and asks what kind of little thing this is. It looks like this girl is blue blood and can be sold profitably. When the lady opens her eyes, one of them claims that it looks like she woke up. At this time, the main character is thinking, what is this? And besides, she has become a child again. And when she looks forward, she thinks who these people are. At that moment, one of them tells the girl to show her face. He claims that the little one can be sold at a high price, and the main character thinks about what to do. A little while later, the girl is in another place and realizes that she needs to get out of there before she is sold into slavery. At that very moment, someone asks if she's trying to come up with an escape plan, and the little girl immediately shakes her head. One of them tells the girl to sit still, because they don't want to spoil her marketable appearance. If she tries to escape and gets caught, then they too will have no choice, in response to which the lady only nods. When they come out, the girl understands that she is now in the body of a baby, but she doesn't know if she can escape from there. Vivier, she thinks what she should do, but she can't think of anything because of fear, and the little girl understands that she would really like someone to save her. From their conversations, she managed to understand that these were the remains of those robbers with whom Daddy dealt. One of them, a little while later, comes into the room and asks how about hiding it where the undead body lies, secretly from the leader. One of the robbers asks if he has gone crazy, meaning to do it in secret from the leader. And the main character is shocked, thinking that this is true. Has he gone crazy again? Wants to hide her where the dead body lies. The man says that his interlocutor should think for himself, because if the two of them keep their mouths shut, they will be able to pocket all the money for themselves. To which the other responds that he understands them. The main thing is that there are no problems. The main character understands that if she is unlucky, she could become one of these inanimate bodies. After which, the girl starts to think how it is possible that in her third life she was also sold. The girl also thinks that, of course, and has anyone ever helped her? But she can't just sit silently, and she has already fallen into eternal sleep twice, so she has more experience than any inanimate body, and first she needs to look around. Vivier! She understands that the tent is more spacious and cleaner than she thought, and it doesn't smell of rot or red liquid. There is nothing suspicious, even though they were talking about an inanimate body, but at that very moment, the lady notices something else lying on the bed. She wonders if this is really a lifeless body, and claims that her heart even jumped. It seems he is after all alive, but needs to be checked, and when people touch his body, he thinks how cold it is. But still, the pulse is clearly palpable, so it seems that he is only lifeless in words. However, this child looks too neat to be called not alive, and if you shorten it, maybe he will come to life. After which, the girl tells him to get up, and says that the fact that they met like this already seems like fate. So it would be good to avoid it together. If they get out of there, then she will buy a lot of goodies. Vivier understands that even though she continues to squeeze his hand, there is no reaction. Well, she still doesn't understand why he has a mask on his face, and what kind of chains are on his legs. The girl understands that she needs to find out so that he would be a little more comfortable. But when the lady is going to take her off, then suddenly some force pushes her away, and the girl falls and thinks what it is. Vivier wonders why something like this is in a small child. At the same moment, the lady also hears loud sounds. The baby thinks what it is, after which someone screams states of attack. Vivier wonders what kind of attack this is suddenly, and if this is a war for influence between robbers. This day may be the last in this life, and of course she cannot assess the situation normally now. But this is a great chance to escape taking advantage of the disorder. Luckily, she is now in the body of a baby, which is great for hiding from prying eyes. However, the main character thinks what to do with this boy, and she understands that he is alive, so she cannot just abandon him. Of Vivier's had still not been found. The head of the knights replied that he had no excuse, and clenched his fist, and asked if this was somehow connected with the gang of robbers. His interlocutor claimed that if robbers were involved in this, then he didn't know that they were able to deal with most of them during this morning's attack. So they were probably in no condition to break in and steal the mistress. The Duke then asked if this meant that he could do nothing, to which he cried out that nothing of the sort. The knights, including Ortez, at this very time hid in the face and watched the gang. Then the man claims that he will also go there, and his interlocutor says that the Duke is wounded. The man replies that everything is fine with him, after which the knight asserts that it is fine, and let it be as the general wants. The lady at this time turns to the inanimate body and tells him to get up. The girl also tells him to try to open his eyes, and if he doesn't wake up, he could become a real inanimate body. After which the lady sighs and says that it is a pity, of course, because the pilot is cute, but nothing can be done, and she did everything she could, so she said goodbye to him. Vivier mentally asks that no one be outside, but when someone buys in front of her in armor, then the lady gets scared and claims that she didn't intend to run away, so she asks not to put her into eternal sleep. The man at this time says that here she is, and the lady, having recognized this voice, understands that it is Daddy. The Duke claims that he has already searched for her. Vivier wonders if he was really looking for her, and that means the sounds of an attack outside and what was happening there was for the sake of saving her. But the Andante family knows no mercy even towards relatives. The lady could not even imagine that someone would come to save her. Vivier. She thinks about what she should do and whether she should jump into his arms, radiating cuteness, or thank him with great respect for saving her. In order for him to treat her better, something needs to be done, just like with that woman. So now, in such a difficult situation for her, Daddy always comes to save her. The man at this time claims that there is nothing more to be afraid of, so she can stop crying. The little girl wonders if this time he has come to save her too, and her interlocutor claims that if not for this, then why would he be there? He also invites the lady to come to him, and they will go home, after which the lady gives him her hand and agrees. Vivier understands that she always wanted everyone to treat her kindly, and it seems that she got even more than she wished for on her birthday. But the lady at this time says that before leaving, she wants to take up another minute of his time. The girl points towards the boy and claims that there is some child lying there, after which he comes up and looks at him. After which he goes out into the street, where the main character is already, and he wonders what she wants to do with this child. Vivier understands that if she leaves him there, he will again fall into the hands of the robber, so the girl says that she wants to go with him, and the man agrees. A little while later, they are already heading in a carriage, and the Duke looks at his daughter. He also recalls how he claimed that tomorrow it would be necessary to gather the soldiers guarding the exits. A little while later, they arrive at the Duke's castle. The maid runs up to her mistress, and she screams that words cannot express how worried she was about her. She had to watch how she slept, and it was all because of her. The main character replies that no, and Eliza did nothing wrong. The woman then says what terrible scoundrels these people are. After all, how dare they kidnap the lady? The girl understands that everyone was very scared because of her disappearance. Well, she can't tell them that she left herself. At this time, one of the knights turns to the lady and asks how she feels. But when the lady wants to answer that she is fine, her stomach starts to rumble. And the girl replies that not really, and also understands that she hasn't eaten anything since the birthday party. A little while later, the lady finally eats and realizes that she now feels alive. The girl understands that this is a delicious apple pie, and she needs to thank the one who showed such attention. At this time, the maid offers the lady to try the fruit too, and tells her to say A. The main character does just that, and understands that if you think about it, what happened to the child they took with them? Of course, she had already asked the knight about the Baron, but he only asked for forgiveness, and claimed that the boy was still unconscious. The Duke said that some unusual curse might have been placed on that child. The lady does not understand at all how it was possible to put a curse on such a small child, and yet, what a relief that they took this child and returned without problems. That she was able to meet them again, and also that. Things happen that night, but she is still very, very happy. A little while later, the little girl goes with the nanny and asks her if her good daddy is really a man. The woman replies that of course he is, because he is a man with the warmest soul in the world. At that very moment, the little girl hears someone asking if everyone is here now. The girl understands that the atmosphere there is for some reason strange, and the guards at this time ask the Duke for forgiveness for what happened that day. The ladies understand that she was thinking why all the soldiers gathered there, but it's all because she secretly got out of the castle then. The knights daytime claim that they are guilty, and they ask to spare their lives, and the girl wonders if he will really plunge them into eternal sleep for this. The man claims that they will all be executed without exception, because a suspicious person was walking around the area. But none of them suspected anything. So what is the point of living for someone who can't even cope with his own work? So he will be generous to them from this moment on, and for the next hour. He gives them a chance to plunge into eternal sleep themselves. The main character is shocked and thinks what is magnanimous about this. After which she sees two more knights and realizes that they were standing guard when she secretly slipped away. One of them claims that if the Duke orders, they obey. But at the same time, people think that they should wait, because she had no idea that the situation would go this far. At that moment, the little girl screams for them to wait, after which she says that they cannot be put into eternal sleep. The baby immediately takes a breath, and then he screams out that if Daddy puts people into eternal sleep, then he is very scary. The man at this time thinks whether he is really scary. The nanny also addresses the lady, and he says that the Duke will show leniency, so she asks him to stop crying. The little girl asks if this is true, after which she turns to her daddy and asks him not to put anyone into eternal sleep. The lady understands that she cannot allow innocent people to fall into eternal sleep because of her, after which the man replies that it's okay and he won't, because he got carried away by deciding to plunge everyone into eternal sleep. The little girl at the same moment claims that it is impossible to put anyone into eternal sleep, and the man replies that he will not do that. He will simply deduct a week's salary from them, and that will be all, so let them immediately correct their weakened discipline. At the same moment, the knights thank the Duke and say that their lady is their benefactress and also their savior. At this time, the main character suggests that the nanny leave quickly, to which the woman agrees. The girl understands that if she had not suddenly become an adult, then this noise would not have arisen. So she doesn't understand why she suddenly grew up and became a baby again. She doesn't have answers to these questions, and also whether it can happen again. And she also asks the nanny if that child woke up yesterday. The woman asks if she is talking about that child, and the lady replies that yes, and she wants to see what happened to him. But at the same moment, the Duke who is walking behind asserts that this child was sent to another place. He needs to recover, so now he is not there, and it is unknown when he will wake up. Vivier wonders if everything is so serious that even the Duke's doctor cannot help, and what condition he is in. The man then turns to his daughter, and when she responds, the Duke becomes interested. Does she really want to see this boy first instead of him? Vivier wonders why he has that expression on his face, and is her dad really angry? The little girl immediately turns to her daddy and claims that she wanted to see him before going to bed, and when the man asks why, then the girl replies that if she sees him before going to bed, she will probably be able to see a dream in which her wonderful daddy will be there. The lady understands that she had prepared her cuteness for such moments. The man at that time said that this is how, and then he will go. Vivier wonders if it didn't work, and if it was a bad answer. Well, the Duke leaves with a smile on his face. A little while later, the maid asks the mistress what she was thinking about. The girl replies that it's nothing, and that she just thinks that she has very beautiful pajamas. The woman asks if she's really very cute, but they prepared her together with Lydia. Vivier claims that they are not obliged to do this, thanks the maids. One of them, seeing the cute reaction of the little girl, says to the lady that this is why they do this. And the other claims that the lady must be photographed, but the parcel has not yet arrived. A little while later, the maids are already leaving, and the main character is heading somewhere, and when she enters one of the offices, then she tells her daddy that she came to say goodnight. The man tells her to sit on the sofa for a while, to which the little girl agrees. But when she looks at the table, she wonders what this is. At this time, the man claims that in such weather it would not take long to catch a cold, so let her drink. Vivier, looking at his face, thinks that he wouldn't say it as if it were her death sentence. After which the Duke tells her to wait, because this drink is hot, so let her drink it slowly. The main character understands that if he hadn't stopped her, she would have drunk it in one gulp from such an order. Vivier understands that it is cocoa, and the parade of it seems to envelop the whole body in warmth. He prepared it because it was chilly outside, and now Daddy seemed to her more like a scary Duke than before. After which the little girl understands that she wants to be at least somehow useful to him, and the girl turns to her daddy. In her pocket, she clenches her fists, and then claims that she wants to give him something. A little while later, in the capital of the kingdom of Ivritien, someone asks if this guy is really joking with him, and also says just that he missed this guy. His interlocutor claims that it looks like his subjects couldn't stand it and did something. That's why Duke Andante and his army came there. The man claims that it doesn't matter, and there's nothing more to listen to. However, his interlocutor claims that no one said that an unfamiliar boy appeared in the Duke's frame. The man suggests that he stop messing around and let him do everything possible to find and bring this child to him. A mistake this time. Everyone around him will end up in the next world. The man replies that he obeys, and his master says that now he can go, after which he takes a pen in his hands and begins to write something and then rings the bell. The butler immediately approaches the gentleman and asks if he called him, but the man only tells him to send this letter to Baron Adagio. A little while later, one maid asks another if she says that the Duke has invented a new combat device. Her interlocutor replies that this is exactly it. And also, the magicians raised a fuss because of the formula used. And yesterday, too, several dozen requests came in asking to explain it. But the most important thing is that they say that some nameless scientist helped the Duke. The maid asks who it could be, and at the same moment, the main character runs past them. She wishes them good morning. The girl also thinks about the unnamed scientist and remembers how she said that she wanted to give something to her father. The man asked what it was, and the lady claimed that it was the magical calculations that he had given her last time. She tried to make a simple formula out of them, and the man asked if that was really the case. The lady understands that she is going to live there for a long time and in luxury, so she decided not to do anything that would look suspicious to the child. However, Daddy had already saved her twice, and she wanted to be useful to him, so she claimed that she wanted to give this thing to Daddy. The man, looking at these papers, claimed that he had suspected from the very beginning that she is an unusual girl, and that means she has been deliberately hiding this all this time. The main character is shocked and wonders if he really figured out that she is not a child, but she can't tell him that she was reborn, so she doesn't even know how to explain it. The man claims that Vivier turned out to be a genius, but the little girl replies that everything is not so, after which her father says that there is no need to be modest, and the lady understands that she simply wrote her off. But there is nothing wrong with that, because if Daddy thinks that she is a genius, then she won't have to come up with excuses so that she won't be suspected. The man then turns to his daughter again, and she claims that she received the power that she did not know about the precedents in their family. But when a genius does not have the strength to protect himself on his own, he becomes easy prey, so let the girl be careful. The main character remembers at this time how her father took her away from that evil woman, and when he saved her from the robbers' base, after which the girl asks if he could always protect her and be there for her. The little girl also adds that of course not all her life, and she asks to protect her only until she grows up. After all, Daddy is so strong and cool that the man agrees to, hey baby asks if he really agrees. Her interlocutor replies that this is exactly what she needs, and that he will protect her as long as she needs it. A little while later, the man is already covering his daughter, and she tells her dad that no one should leave. The lady realizes that she was able to sleep well all night, and perhaps it is due to the warm energy that enveloped her. Because of her magic formula, there was a time when the duchy was very noisy, but other than that, nothing special happened, except that next week the duchy will have a guest, and Nanny Eliza has left her post for 2 weeks. A little while later, the maid turns to the mistress and tells her to repeat her name. The little girl does so, and her interlocutor asks how she can be so cute. The main character realizes that she still pronounced the name incorrectly and says that she wants to learn faster. The woman claims that she reads a lot of books to her, and by the time she returns, the lady will have plenty of success. On her father's orders, Eliza went to her mother's house in Eret County. When her mother got married, her nanny followed her, and maybe that's why she adores her so much, and it would be good if she came back sooner. A little while later, someone claims that today, she will read the lady a story about a prince and a princess, to which the little girl rejoices. One ancient emperor, before closing his eyes, bequeathed a forest to his prince and princess. However, the prince and princess became sad and were unable to cultivate the forest. At that time, the animals started a war and destroyed it. The princess tried to convince the seriously angry prince, but he could not stand his anger and, without the princess's knowledge, set the forest on fire. After which, the maid closes the book and realizes that it looks like the mistress has fallen asleep. Another maid asks if the mistress is sleeping, and her interlocutor replies that it seems so. She also asks Jane if she knows who will be arriving tomorrow, because the atmosphere in the ducal castle cannot be called friendly. The girl replies that this is true, and Baron Adagio committed some sin, so how can one greet him with joy? One of the women at this time asks if she is talking about the fact that he hired the nanny in the capital who abused the lady. Baroness Adagio simply got out of it by saying that she knew nothing and that she was hired simply because she had a good reputation. The main character at this time thinks whether they are talking about a good reputation, because this woman mocked her. One of the maids at this time says that, frankly speaking, she does not understand, because Baron Adagio has the second rank in inheritance, and even before the birth of the lady, he persistently tried to promote Mr. Euston. For some reason, she feels uneasy about this, and the other maid replies that yes, these spouses are extremely unpleasant. The main character understands that she also listened to the maid's conversations, and her premonition only got worse. If the Baron goes to the duchy with good intentions, they will not leave him so easily. A little while later, the carriage arrives, and the Duke asks if he has arrived. This man answers his brother that yes, and he says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. But he was so busy all the time that he couldn't visit them often. His wife also asks for forgiveness, and says that at least she should have paid attention to this. She also turns to the little girl, and says that she has grown so much, to which the girl replies that she is so pleased to meet the Baroness. The woman says how smart and cute the little girl is, and she is also pleased. Vivier wonders if these two really hired that woman who offended her, after which someone else gets out of the carriage, and the woman tells Justin and Medina to say hello to Vivier, after which the girl greets her and asks if her name is Vivier. The boy also reluctantly greets the girl, and his sister says that she is pleased to meet him and invites Vivier to be friends. The main character replies that yes and tells them to pass. Medina says what a short greeting Vivier has. She also wonders if the girl still doesn't know how to speak properly, and the baby is not at all like she thought. The main character wonders if these are really little bugs. Now they are trying to make fun of her. At this time, Justin asks if his sister is really an idiot. After all, this little girl is just in shock right now, and can't you tell by her? The main character is thinking what shock means. Why should she be so surprised? The boy at this time tells the lady to just look at their family's majestic carriage, all in gold. This is a carriage called Mercedes Benchu from The Greatest Wizard. He also asks, "How is the lady?" Asks nicely. He might let her go for a ride once. The main character replies that she is not interested at all, but her interlocutor asks what there is to be embarrassed about, after which he asks if she is really jealous, and the lady only sighs and thinks what kind of childish nitpicking this is. Most of the artifacts used in the capital come from their family, and it is not for nothing that they are called one of the greatest ducal families. The family is already incredibly rich, but thanks to her formula, they can make a lot more money on newly created weapons. So the lady wonders if she will envy some miserable carriage. At the same moment, someone else turns to Vivier, and he asks if she is in charge of this Koryak, which makes the little girl surprised. She immediately replies that no, and is not jealous, and also thinks why the Duke creates such strange questions. The Baroness then turns to her children and tells them to try to understanding from an early age, but Vivier is not like that. The main character understands that this look completely reveals her insides, and so she definitely understands that it was she who ordered that woman to mock her. The Baroness at this time claims that it would be best to go inside and have lunch first. A little while later, the main character is at the table and realizes that she is uncomfortable dining with them. One of the maids hands the lady a steak and tells her to try this one too, to which the little girl thanks her. Justin asks why the girl eats so voraciously, and does she really have a hole in her chin and everything flies past her mouth like that? The main character wonders why he is bothering her, after which the Duke even makes a sound, after which everyone falls silent, and the main character realizes that suddenly the air seems to have frozen. Vivier wonders if she ate without any manners at all, and there must be some special etiquette for the nobility. He must have felt ashamed to compare her with these children, and even me, in front of my younger brother. But now is not the time for apologies, after which the little girl thinks what to do and hands Daddy a steak. The little girl understands that if he eats something tasty, it might calm his anger a little. When the lady still wants to say something, the Duke only tells her to give it to him, and he wonders if she wants him to feed her. The main character is thinking answers that no, but the man just pushes a piece of steak into her mouth and tells her to eat. Vivier at the same moment claims that it is so delicious, and her father asks if it is true, to which the girl replies that yes, and it is the most delicious thing in this world. The Duke also asks what else she wants to eat, but Justin claims that at her age he ate very well himself. However, before he can finish speaking, his mother covers his mouth and says that it seems that Justin still needs to learn manners, because Vivier is little, that's all. The Baroness also asks the dear if they shouldn't tell the Duke something, to which he replies that it is true. At this time, the maid brings the lady tea and offers her to drink, in response to which the little girl thanks her. At this time, the Baron turns to his brother and says that he has probably already heard that the Shuvitz family is gathering tech, who is ready to invest in special things of the royal palace. You can contribute to the appearance of Prince Nikifred. After all, when the prince grows up, of course, he will become a handsome man. The main character thinks about what it means to invest in appearance. She has never heard of such a thing, even in Korea, and the girl wonders whether such fraud is thriving in the royal palace, and what happened in power over these 100 years. The Duke at this time asks what he wants to tell him with this, and his brother claims that this is not at all a burden for the Duke, so he asks to lend him some money. The main character is shocked and wonders if he really meant it, and how they bragged about their carriage turned out to be empty chatter. The man at this time turns to his brother and claims that since Duke Schwitz is doing this, definitely trusts someone like that, and he asks to trust them just once. The main character understands that even if this is empty talk, well, are they really that simple? This guy asks to trust him, and the girl wonders if this is some kind of trap. The Duke at this time says that this is the end of the conversation, and he does not think it is worth borrowing to invest in this business, and he has a lot of debts from his gambling. But when he wants to say something else, the plate breaks. The Duke immediately gets up from the table and asks what is going on. At the same moment, the maid turns excitedly to the mistress and asks her to come to her senses. The main character wonders what is happening to her and why she can't breathe. The Duke turns to his daughter in shock and then tells everyone to leave. Grin after this, and the main character wonders if there was poison or something like that in the food. A little while later, the lady feels that her body is heavy, after which she hears someone addressing her. When the girl opens her eyes, someone says that she finally woke up. Their main character thinks why everyone is looking at her now. The Duke asks if she can tell how many fingers he points to which the lady replies 3. The man asks what her full name is, to which the lady replies that it is Vivier Andante, and the Duke asks who he is, to which the lady replies that he is Daddy. He also asks how many apple pies the girl has eaten recently, and the girl says about 3. The ladies realize that she can't really speak, and the Duke just hugs her and says that the girl is great. Vivier wonders why he is so frightening. However, looking away, she still does not understand who all these people are. She also asks her dad why they are all there, and the man replies that he understands that the lady probably doesn't want to see them, so he'll deal with them. Vivier thinks that she only asked why and not there. Anti-narcotic shock is the name given to an allergic reaction that appears immediately after eating a certain dish. At this time, the cook shouts to the gentleman that he did not know that the lady was allergic to citrus fruits, and the main character wonders if this is really true. A little while ago, the girl was looking at the food for the meeting with the guests, and the woman claimed that they were sent by the soldiers who had recently been saved by the lady. The main character at this time pointed to one of the products, and the maid claimed that it is made of citrus fruits and is perfect for earthly drinks, after which the little girl claimed that she wants to try it. The maid claimed that she would bring it to the lady for dessert, and Vivier realized that she lost consciousness, not because of the poison, but because of the tea and juice. But this situation is already too much, because now the man claims that he has a sick wife and a young daughter at home, after which he screams out asking to be left alive. The main character understands that at this rate she will get used to such situations, and if we leave things like this, soon there won't be a single living person left in the duchy. The girl also turns to her daddy, and he claims that today is impossible because they almost put her into eternal sleep. There were many dangers throughout the time, but today he almost lost her so stupidly. A little while ago, someone claimed that the Duke had performed excellent resuscitation measures, but the lady might suffer from cerebral edema. The man understands that he will never lose her again, and this time there is no way to forgive them. At this time, the little girl grabs her daddy by the clothes and says that she really wanted to drink tea with citrus juice, and she begged them herself. She asked them not to check anything, but just give it to her, and it was all her fault. The Duke claims that even if she says so, it is impossible, because whatever she says this time, he will definitely not leave this issue like that. Another 5 minutes later, the cooks were already shouting praises to the lady and claiming that they loved His Highness. Well, the man just ordered them all to shut up. Vivier understands that she thought that this time something terrible would definitely happen, and what a relief that he called off the execution. The Duke claims that it was only after he sent them into the corridor that silence finally set in, after which the baby turns to her daddy, and she wonders if he was really that worried about her. The man then turns to the girl, and he claims that he thought so, that he couldn't take his eyes off her for a second. And it's also good that everything is fine with her brain, because he heard her answers and no longer worries. The main character is interested, and whether he asked in order to make sure that everything is fine with her brain. Vivier also says that she shouldn't have been so stubborn to try the tea and juice. She also apologizes for making him worry, and the man replies that it's nothing. But in the future, when she tries a new dish, let her always start with a small portion. The girl replies that yes, and she will do so. And now 4 days have passed since the incident with Yulia. It happened during the visit of the Baron's family, so they were afraid that it would affect them too, so they are being careful. Well, it's good that she doesn't have to see anyone anymore. She doesn't like anyone. The little girl also stretches out and realizes that the weather is just perfect for sunbathing. At that very moment, the little girl notices the Baroness and thinks what kind of bad luck this is. The lady also asks who is this man next to the streams. At the same moment, someone else answers that Ostas is a camp. Vivier, shocked, asks if it is Jane, and the maid apologizes and claims that she thought she had shown her presence enough. The main character replies that everything is fine, but wonders who this Baron Ostas is. The maid says that this is a vassal of the ducal family. Hey! The girl asks why the vassal of the ducal family is now with the Baroness. The lady realizes that this is quite suspicious. She also asks the maid where Lydia is, and the woman replies that she was just about to tell her because she has some personal circumstances, so she will take some time off from work, and the main character asks if it is so unexpected, and she didn't even say goodbye. Jane claims that she just asked to tell the lady that she is very sorry. Vivier wonders what happened that she left like that without even saying goodbye, and it must be something important. Otherwise, she would have definitely told her. Nanny Eliza and Lydia left. This meeting of the Baroness and the Baron seems strange, so the girl understands that only trouble is happening. At this time, the Duke remembers how the little girl asked if he could protect her. At that very moment, someone appears in his office, and the man tells that person to come in, after which a knight enters the room and tells the Duke that news has arrived from the county of Iro. In this letter, someone wrote to the dramatist Duke that this was a very urgent letter, so she asked for forgiveness if it seemed impolite. At first, it seemed to them that the village that bound this child was connected to a magical object. However, as he had assumed, this state was maintained by holy power. But this holy power is directed not from the outside, but from inside the body of this child. And after checking, they found out that his body contains mana, spirit power, and holy power, and they all coexist. They will first focus on removing everything that binds him. Who is this child on the big land of years? So he asks the dukes to make sure that there is no talk, and the man understands that this is the very prophecy. He remembered what the previous duke had told him the day before he received the title. This is a very secret prophecy that only the 3 great ducal families and the counts of Eret know about. So the child from this prophecy has already been born. After which, the man thinks what kind of incredible event has been happening in this country all this time. A little while ago, someone asked Jane to at least take care of Mrs. Vivier a little. The woman also claimed that she already missed the lady and asked what she should do, and her interlocutor suggested that the lady not worry about them, but also take care of her task. After which the maid left, and when she approached the house, she saw that it was completely in ruins. The girl realized that the situation was even worse than she thought. A little while later, the main character says that the weather is so nice today. Well, it's too blinding for her eyes, and the maid says that it looks like the lady still needs a hat, to which the lady replies that it's okay and it doesn't matter. The woman then apologizes and claims that she should have prepared it in advance. And the main character, looking at the maid's face, understands that she has such a gloomy expression on her face, and also wonders if something really happened. The maid then turns to the mistress and says that she will go and get her a hat, and if she needs anything, she can tell the servants over there, after which she even claims that she will be back soon. The main character lies down on the blanket and realizes that it seems that Jane has been acting strangely lately. After Lydia's disappearance, she often becomes lost in her thoughts. and once she even forgot to feed her. It seems that there is definitely some kind of problem, and at the same moment, one of the maids nearby says that it seems that Lydia went to the capital because of the nanny. Someone else asked if it was possible to think that something like this would happen, and they say that the nanny's husband suffered. Of course, the Duke immediately sent for a doctor from the capital. The main character gets up in shock and wonders if Eliza's house has really fallen apart. Well, at that very moment, the maid puts a hat on the lady and asks how long she had been waiting. The maid also claims that no matter what hat the mistress hates, it is always so beautiful. The main character then turns to Jane again, and when the maid answers, then the little girl asks if Eliza's house has fallen apart. The maid looks at her colleagues nearby and thinks what chatterboxes they are. Vivier tells the girl to answer her and asks again if it is true that Eliza's house fell apart. The woman replies that she didn't want to talk about it if possible. But this is true, because that time the nanny came to the castle, but she only reported urgent news to the Duke and immediately went to the capital. The main character understands that she already knows that at this time, the destruction of the house cannot be considered some kind of special incident, but she still lives in a safe ducal castle. So she began to forget about it, and only now she was able to feel what was happening to the people around her. The little girl asks when the nanny will be able to officially return, and her interlocutor replies that it will probably be when her family gets better, and then they will all return together. The lady asks where they will live. There is no maternity hospital, and the maid answers that fortunately, the Duke took care of them and gave them a place inside the castle. Vivier understands that on the one hand they will be fine, but what should other people do whose houses have fallen apart? At the same moment, someone else approaches the lady and says that this is where they met. The main character wonders if this is Medina, and her interlocutor says that since they have already met, would the lady like to take a walk with her? Vivier asks if it's really that sudden, and her interlocutor claims that she's been nagging at them that their family is leaving soon, and she wants them to have good memories. Well, the girl understands that now she doesn't want to go for a walk at all, and it would still be impolite to be capricious in front of her relative. After which, the main character turns to Jane and claims that she will take a circle around the garden with Mediana. The woman agrees in response and tells the lady that she will wait for her there. Medina says that she doesn't have to because she will take the lady to the room, after which she asks if Vivier agrees. The main character says the maid that she will come soon and asks not to worry. The girl also understands that she is not going to spend much time with Medina anyway, but she would like Jane to rest a little. A little while later, the girl says goodbye to Vivier and asks if she knows that she has long wanted to have a younger sister. She also asked if the little girl would like to have an older sister, to which the main character replied that it would probably be good. Well, at that very moment, her interlocutor screamed, which scared the girl. Medina claims how similar their feelings are, and most importantly, Smoking thinks what these heartbreaking dolphin cries are. Her interlocutor says that this means that from today on, they can communicate like two sisters, and the girl thinks about what she is talking about now. Her interlocutor claims that if the lady is embarrassed to call her sister, then she can simply call her by her first name. After all, the most important thing is that their relationship can become so close. Vivier wonders why she was treated so kindly, and the girl at this time says that she was actually very worried about Vivier. She heard that an evil woman was her nanny and offended her, so she could not even learn etiquette. The main character understands that the words were spoken with intent, and that he is the only person who can say that about her. This is, of course, Baroness Adagio. Medina then says that she can help the clumsy lady and asks if she likes it. The main character then turns to her and apologizes, but claims that she doesn't need help. Her interlocutor is a little surprised and asks what the girl is talking about, after which the main character pushes her hand away, and she says that she does everything perfectly well herself, so her interlocutor shouldn't worry, and that they don't have that kind of relationship at all. Medina then asks how Vivier can speak so coldly, and the main character understands that ignoring is the best solution. Well, when she leaves, the girl falls to the floor and says that if Vivier doesn't want to be friends with her, she could have just said it with words. The girl also asks if it was really necessary to push her away, and the main character thinks why she did this all of a sudden, and she even became scared. At that moment, someone behind them is shocked and immediately runs up to his daughter screaming what is happening. The man immediately turns excitedly to Medina, and the main character thinks what she's going to do. The Baron immediately screams out what Vivier did, and how she could push Medina, since they are relatives. The main character thinks what they are doing suddenly, and when she steps back, she steps on someone's foot. It turns out to be the Duke, and the man is wondering what is going on there. The girl asks if it is really Daddy, after which she even wonders if this is a trap that she had only heard about before. At this time, the Baron turns to his brother and asks if he himself didn't see how his daughter fell right in front of everyone. The girl understands that she doesn't know why they are doing this to her, but she doesn't understand why they are doing this precisely when Daddy is nearby. The Duke at this time says that he really does not see his daughter getting hurt, and he asks his daughter if these words are true. At the same moment, someone else jumps out of the bushes and screams that, "Of course, this is not the answer. The lady is probably offended now." One of them claims that the second lady switched off herself, and he saw all this very clearly with his own eyes. The Duke is interested in whether it means that the girl fell without anyone's help. Help, but screamed that Vivier pushed her, to which you are answered by the state absolutely correctly. The man then asks if it turns out that she invented a non-existent incident, after which the girl gets a little scared, but at the same moment she gets up and screams that everything is wrong. After all, Vivier said that she didn't want to be friends with her, and she thought that the lady had pushed her away. Medina says that it seems she misunderstood Vivier and sincerely apologizes in front. The main character thinks that this is how this girl behaves, and is she really saying that she misunderstood? It is obvious that she looked at who was coming towards them and did it on purpose, but she was very tired, because there was bad news from the nanny and other things around. This time, they will just settle everything quietly, and the main heroine says that if she feels guilty, then she should think about her actions. But the Duke at this time turns to the knights and asks why they have been watching Vivier all this time. After which the knights say that in fact, they are distributing duty and thus taking care of the safety of the lady, and they are called Govilu. This stands for Mrs. Vivier is the best. The man then says how surprised he is that in his fortress there is a group that he has never heard of, after which he turns to his daughter and says that it is worth going, because it is unknown how they will behave if they stay. A little while later, he also asks where the girl wants to go, and most importantly, the game does not say that she should be taken to Jane. The Duke also says how strange these guys are and how they came up with some kind of Gavilu. The girl thinks that this is true, but Daddy is not far behind. A little while later, the main character tells the maid that she wants to play in the sandbox. The maid asks if she should bring a small shovel, and Vivier understands that she is still worried that the nanny's house was destroyed, so she wants to help her somehow. And after so much thought, a way came to her mind, and now the main game does not answer, that if you do not answer, she needs a red wedge. The girl thinks about a house made of straw bales, and in simple terms, it is a house made of straw bales and clay. It requires wood straw and clay, and is fairly easy to build, with materials that are relatively cheap and easy to obtain. Of course, a lot of labor is needed, but if you let me show you Daddy's construction plan, I'll do it. Of Iverton, without any special worries. At the same moment, the girl apologizes to the lady, but says that it seems there will be problems with this, and the main character thinks, why live? She didn't ask for precious stones. The woman at this time says that in order to spend money on something unusual, you need to get permission from the nanny, and the little girl wonders if she really has to wait until Eliza returns, with the list in the garden instead. But the girl replies that it is not necessary, and understands that in this case, she will have to look for another way. A little while later, the maid knocks on the Duke's door and asks the lady if she will really be having breakfast with the Duke today. The baby replies yes, after which the woman says that they will see each other later. At that moment, the Duke opens the door and tells her to come in, after which the little girl wishes her daddy good morning. She lifts her dress, and when she looks at the expression on her father's face, he understands that it is unchangeable. Because he saved her, she feels close to him. But for Daddy, everything can be as before. It is not known whether her daddy loves her with all his soul, so one cannot relax and can try even harder. At this time, the man says that she woke up early, and the lady understands that she slept late today, and he says so. Maybe this means that he wants to reprimand her, considering how lazily she only just woke up. The Duke claims that he wanted to see her from the very morning, because he decided to give her something. After which, he hands it to the lady, and the main character looks at this object. He understands that this is a sacred artifact called the patronage of the spirit. The main character wonders if this is the same treasure that legends are told about, and it is such a beauty. Sacred objects of this treasure of God that allow one to use powers that have never existed. The man claims that of course he did not receive permission from the royal family, but he can use this sacred object because the counts of Iret, who are responsible for sacred objects, decided to temporarily give it to her, and maybe to some extent he will be able to protect Vivier instead of him. The main character thinks really after her kidnapping, Eliza went to the capital for this very reason, and is it really all for her sake? The girl understands that for the first time she is treated so kindly. After all, until now, no one had helped her just like that without any payment, and in her first life, her parents abandoned her, and in the second, they even planned to sell. At this time, the man says that there is something else. After all, this object contains the spirit of the wind, and he thinks that she should be able to deal with Sylph. The main character asks if this is a real spirit, and when she looks at the decoration, then the wind starts blowing from it, and the main combustion engine is in shock and wonders what it is, after which something resembling a fairy appears near her. The man says that of course her sacred object does not have the power to tame the spirit of the window, but she can use their power. The main character asks her daddy if this means anything, but the man doesn't let her finish, and she claims that this is the spirit of the wind called Sylph, so let her try to order him to return. The girl does so, after which the spirit returns back to the decoration, and her father says that it depends on how the girl controls it. He will change, so let her be careful what the lady agrees to. The girl thinks how good it is because she is so happy with her father's actions that are done by her family, that she wants to somehow express her gratitude, and when the little girl wants to thank him, then suddenly her stomach starts to rumble, and the girl confusedly wonders what kind of bolt from the blue this is. The Duke claims that it looks like it's time for breakfast, and the main character wonders why this always has to happen at the most important moment. A little while later, someone tells the gentleman that the food is ready, and the girl realizes that these are all her favorite people. It seems that Daddy has the same taste as her, after which the man also places a steak next to the lady. And the main character at this time asks what will happen, since she spilled soup on her clothes. While the girl apologizes to the Duke, he thinks that it seems that Vivi really loves to eat. The little girl also asks if she can ask about something, and when the man asks about what, the lady wonders if there is still any news about that boy. The Duke wonders if she is really talking about the one she saved. The Duke replies that he was told that he is very ill, and he himself understands that this boy has been bothering him all this time. And the reason is that in the mask and in the shackles of this boy, there was a sacred power that was capable of copying him. It is usually imagined that sacred power is used for healing, but in fact it can also be used to destroy and curse. It is just that the temple hides this so as not to ruin the image, so there is a high probability that the one who did this to the child is in the temple. And for this reason, even if the boy wakes up, he cannot be allowed to meet Vivier. After which the man says that this boy can even fall into eternal sleep, so let her better be delusional about him. After this, the little girl sighs heavily and understands that she took him from there to prevent him from falling into eternal sleep. He is still a child, so she feels so sorry for him. A little while later, the maid asks if something is bothering the mistress. The main character replies that no, and she just overate. The woman says, Madame, that she will immediately bring tea that helps digestion. The little girl understands that this is a lie, because she will bring vinegar, saying that it is a remedy for indigestion, but she does not want vinegar. At this time, the maid says that if you add sugar there, the performance becomes bad, and says that she is leaving. Vivier realizes that this is a failure, but at the same moment, she hears someone else enter the room and asks if Jane has already arrived. But the one who entered the room was Justin, and the boy says that even there is nothing special. The young man also wonders what the girl is doing there and whether she really doesn't know. After all, he's going to walk around the place that will soon become his home, and also asks if she has any problems. The main character wonders if he has really gone completely nuts, after which she asks since when this has been his house. The boy replies that he is the main heir of the Dukes, so this is his future home. He also wonders if the girl really thinks that the Duke will declare her his heir, who killed his wife. Vivier understands that she thought he was talking about, after which she asks if the guy is completely out of his mind and has forgotten that she is the daughter of the Duke of Andante. The guy then asks her what she's talking about, and the main character realizes that she's seen plenty of idiots like him in her past life. This is an ill-mannered little thing. Hey, the girl understands that the older one will teach him a good lesson now. The young man then cries out, could it be that she was hiding her identity all this time? And the main character says that since he figured it out, he should get out of here before she locks him in so that neither a mouse nor a dog will find him. Yusten then raises his fist and screams, how dare she, and also does she want to receive it? The main character just closes her eyes, preparing for the blow, but at that very moment, someone shouts to her brother that he can't behave like that. It turns out to be Medina, and the girl asks what he is doing with their Vivier. The main character wonders if Medina is really there now too. At this time, the young man screams, why is she doing this suddenly? The girl herself said that she wants to hit this little brat a couple of times, but Medina asks when she said that. The main character understands that the further the more interesting it is, she should have stocked up on popcorn. The lady at this time turns to Vivier and says that she hopes the girl will understand everything correctly because she never said such a thing. The main character thinks if this is true and ponders when this family will finally leave them. After this, the little girl asks if they want to leave because daddy should come soon. A little while later, the main character lies in bed and realizes that this feeling has not been there for a long time. The little girl is shocked and wonders why she has become an adult again, and she hasn't done anything special. The girl also remembers the events before bedtime, and when the maid asked if the mistress would go to bed early today, the girl answered that yes, because she wanted to grow up faster. She also mentally claimed that she would not leave Justin and Medina just like that. Well, the lady understands that fortunately this time she has the patronage of the spirit. And when she turns to the sylph, then the spirit comes out of the artifact and the girl asks if she can ask him for something. A little time to start, and the main character thinks that it is amazing. The girl also says that it is so cool, because thanks to sylph she can fly. With this, it will be much easier for her to go outside. But at the same moment, the main character notices a fire near one of the dilapidated houses. When the main character lands near it, she realizes that if you don't pay attention to the dust, there are no traces of dirt on the bricks. It seems like it fell apart quite recently, and it's just her premonition, but it looks like it could very well be Eliza's house. Of course, it is difficult for an ordinary person unfamiliar with house building to restore it, but the foundation is in order, so if you decide to save the capital, it will not take long to build new houses. If she stays an adult all the time, she will be able to help the people here even faster. Well, then the lady notices some light and realizes that it is coming from the ring. The girl realizes that the color of her ring has changed, and if her assumption is returned, then Mother's ring is also a sacred object. But at the same moment, fragments from the house begin to fall further, which frightens the main character. The girl understands that a catastrophe almost happened, and first she needs to return to the Duke's castle. A little while later, the little girl touches her face in shock and realizes that she has succeeded. Truth has become a baby again. Vivier understands that the ring put on the finger of the very birth cannot be a simple trinket. Surprisingly, it turned out to be a sacred object of the Counts of Iret, and the girl remembers how she said that she wanted to grow up faster. And then she asked to become a baby again, so it turns out that I want the patronage of the spirit. This ring changes her body. A little while later, the lady realizes that now she finally knows how to become an adult, and she also has the patronage of the spirit. So from now on, she can really try to build houses. But you can't just rush to do it, because she's never built a house in Ivreten, and the local construction technologies have disappeared, so you need to plan everything well. The girl also wonders if there is a way to find out what properties the red clay of this world has. Well, when she looks at the base, she thinks since when did it appear and so on, people understand that they do have specialists. After all, there are 5 professionals taking care of the garden. When the main character is going to go somewhere with her, the maid asks where she is going. The little girl replies that she will go out into the garden for a short while, after which the woman screams for her to wait. And he tells the lady that they are going together, only she will clean up all this. But the girl replies that it is not worth it, because she will return soon. A little while later, Vivier finds herself in the garden, and wonders who she should ask first, and how to ask this question. The girl understands that now in Everton, all the architects have disappeared, so it would be strange if a plan for building houses suddenly appeared. If everyone knew that she was asking about the properties of clay. But at that very moment, someone screams for the lady to be careful, because she just did. But the girl doesn't have time to listen to the end, before she immediately falls and drops her jewelry. One of the gardeners approaches the lady and asks what to do, and if she is okay. The man also asks if he should take her to a doctor, to which the little girl replies that everything is fine. But she wonders if he can give her her necklace. The girl understands that in this form, she definitely can't do anything. A little while later, she returns to the room, and the maid screams in shock at the mistress asking what happened. The woman then claims that it is her fault that she did not follow the lady, but the main character replies that it is her own fault that she fell. She also tells Jane not to worry, because nothing hurts her. Not the maid says that the lady looks so cheerful, like a seasoned warrior. She also says that she will bring the lady some warm tea and asks if she will wait a little, to which she agrees. A little while later, the little girl is already sitting in front of the fireplace and thinking how good it would be to wash herself clean. The girl also remembers the spirit's patronage and understands that something terrible almost happened because she forgot about him and did not pull him out. Well, when the lady takes out the decoration, she realizes that its color has changed. The little girl turns to Sylph and tells him to come out, but she realizes that there is no reaction from him. The little girl also wonders if she broke it. The next morning, the maid asks if the mistress is awake. Well, the main character just sadly turns to Jane, after which the woman asks why the lady is crying. Vivier tells Jane to take her to her daddy and thinks what to do since Sylph doesn't come out. Since the spirit's patronage was given to her for a while, one day it will have to be returned. But the girl has absolutely no idea what could happen because of a broken sacred object. A little while later, the man asks what the girl wants to tell him. Vivier again, the girl comes out of her thoughts about the man and asks why she wanted to see him at this time. The little girl wonders if her daddy will forgive her, after which she claims that she fell in the garden yesterday. Therefore, she dropped the spirit's patronage, and it seems she broke the sacred object. The girl understands that yesterday, when she told Jane that the sacred object was broken, the maid said that the Duke loved and took care of his mistress very much. Therefore, he will forgive any of her mistakes. But the main character understands that this problem can certainly cause a quarrel between two noble families. And the worst thing is when such losses come from someone in the family, so the girl wonders if she can trust her daddy. At this time, the man asks if she is hurt, after which the little girl is surprised, and her interlocutor claims that she did say that she fell in the garden, to which the lady replies that Jane called a doctor in the evening, and everything was fine. The Duke says what a relief this is, and the lady understands that this is not at all the reaction she expected. But because of her, relations with the Counts of Irette will now deteriorate, after which people are wondering whether Daddy is angry with her. The girl understands that she thought that he would definitely punish her and hit her, and now she says that she is so scared because she made a huge mistake. But she was not locked up and hit. The little girl also asks her daddy why he is not angry with her. The man then says that, in reality, he also hid something from her. The man understands that he was talentless, and it took him 3 years to deal with the monsters. And the fact that he left the baby in the capital for all this time was his biggest mistake. He couldn't look after her and made the girl's life hell. After which, the man asks if Vivier said that she didn't even know her name. The little girl says that Daddy didn't do it on purpose, and the man replies that she didn't do it on purpose either. But the little girl claims that it's different after all, because she so stupidly created problems for her daddy. The man then claims that he is speaking again, after which he extends his hand to the lady and says that no matter what she does, it's not her fault. After which he asks if she has calmed down a bit, to which the lady replies that she has. And the man claims that now she looks just like a small fish. Vivier asks if she is really ugly, and her interlocutor replies that it is not about beauty, and that it is simply amazing. The main character wonders whether it was praise or a curse. Well, at that very moment, someone else knocks on the door, and he claims that the food is ready. It's lemon pie with powdered sugar, and the main character thinks that Jane is simply the best. The baby understands that she has fully recovered in one bite, and her father tells the girl to eat slowly because she could choke. Vivier agrees and understands that just a minute ago she was shaking with fear, but now she feels so good. The man then hands something else to the lady and claims that it is a book called The History of the Spirit King. He also tells the girl to ask the maids to read to her so that she can learn more about perfume. It would be nice to read while Sylph is not around, and also let her no longer worry about what happened to the sacred object. Irit County, they have been dealing with them for several years, so they probably know how to solve this problem. And even if something happens, let the girl not worry about it, because he will bear responsibility. The little girl immediately thanks her daddy and kisses him on the cheek, and the man says what a sly girl she is. Vivier asks if she is smart, after which the Duke smiles and replies that, of course, because she is his daughter. A little while later, someone asks my dear if it's true that I'll have to leave right away. The man replies that of course, because he already said that it was necessary to participate in the meeting organized by Duke Schwitz, after which the woman only remains silent. She thinks how pathetic her husband is, because it's obvious that he will bleat something unintelligible there too. She is already irritated by the fact that she was unable to deal with the siege of the girl in the capital, and her husband, as soon as he reaches for entrepreneurship with his little hands, dives into it head first. Of course they had good times in noble circles, but all this is old history. After which the man also claims that he recently met an elder, and he promised that he would put forward their Justin as the next head of the family. The woman asks if this is true, to which her interlocutor replies that, after all, everyone already treats him as a future ruler and behaves politely. The Baroness ponders who would have thought that he would do such a wonderful deed, and that is great, because now Justine only has to grow up. If the elder stands up for him, then soon this ancient castle will also become hers. And we can't let that idiot Vivier take their place from Justine because of that. She will definitely make her renounce her right of inheritance. The main character at this time sits on a chair and understands that she could not even imagine that Daddy would accept her like that. The girl thinks that her father is so cool, and a little while ago, the Duke claimed that they say the lady wanted to play in the sandbox. The main character asked how he found out about the man, and asked if she had forgotten that he was the owner of this ducal castle. Something else appears that she would like. Then the lady can come to him and say that he will do everything she wants. Vivier understands that thanks to this, she has a precise goal, and that is to show Daddy a specific construction plan after she creates a house in her head. And after that, the people in the duchy will no longer worry about their houses falling apart. Jane is not there now, so she can't announce herself in advance and will immediately run to her daddy. The girl understands that she can ask him not only about clay, but also about other materials. But when the baby goes there, then sees that someone is coming and hiding around the corner. The lady understands that if this is from the Adagio family, then she doesn't want to communicate with them, and they need to hide. Well, at that very moment, someone asks who it is that they have there, and the main character realizes that she has been exposed. The woman at this time wonders if this is Vivier. The main character thinks why, of all of them, she met the Baroness. Vivier thinks what bad luck this is from the very morning, and the woman is interested in how the lady lives her affairs. However, she also says that she does not see a maid next to her. A little while later, someone claims that in that case, their meeting is over, after which, one of the people asks why the kingdom said that it will not import goblin skins, and another claims that he is worried about Yverton. But at that very moment, someone screams that it's all her fault and starts crying. These people look at the Baroness and the girl crying next to her in surprise. One of them asks the lady what happened. After this, the little girl claims that she won't be able to ask her daddy for money and that it's all her fault. But her interlocutor replies that she doesn't understand at all what this is about. She also understands that suddenly people came. One of the men asks what the woman did, Madame, and she replies that nothing happened and that Vivier is simply talking nonsense. One of them claims that it is somehow suspicious, and the woman thinks how impudent this little girl is. Jane immediately approaches the lady and says that this is where she is. The baby at the same moment turns to the books and claims that she is scared, and she also wants to go to another place. The maid immediately takes the mistress away and asks what happened. The main character understands that the aunt has crossed the line. A little while ago, the woman asked where Vivier was going without a maid. She also claimed that Justine had gotten up early in the morning and was already practicing fencing. This was probably because he was going to be the heir. But without even this, it is impossible to lead a family, and some people can't even wake up early. Vivier understands that even though there is no one nearby, who would have thought that she would speak so frankly? The little girl then replied that she didn't even know, because he had burst into her room without permission. And then he started swearing, so she thinks that he won't become a big man. The woman then claimed that Yusten had probably told me that for no reason, and she was sure that not all of his words were wrong. After this, the little girl said that it seemed like Justin was stupid, and she would have to show attention. And the Baroness said that she was such a sharp-tongued, non-overtaking woman. She screamed that the baby didn't even have a mother, and asked about her proper place and who she took after. If she's holding on to her life, she'd better be more careful with her words. Vivier wonders if she's really going to threaten the child now, after which the little girl asked if the ram knew what they say in one country. And this is something that a child can do, but she can't do it. The woman then screamed, "What did the girl say, and how dare the snotty wretch who put her mother into eternal sleep say that?" Vivier claims that she understood perfectly what she wanted to say, and therefore is ready to return everything to her. After which the little girl bent down to the floor, and the people who came into the room asked why the aunt was doing this to the child. This is an expression of contempt towards the Duke himself. The main character understands that she only repeated Medina's words. A little while later, the maid asks if the mistress is better now, to which the little girl replies that yes, and it's all thanks to Jane. The maid claims that something terrible almost happened, and how dare this woman do this to the mistress? But the little girl replies that she really is fine. The maid also claims that this time she came to the mistress with good news, and this will help to lift her spirits. When she points to one of the piles, the main character realizes that it is red clay. The woman claims that the Duke said that he brought her the purest clay from the depths of the forest. The main character, looking at this pile, understands that she only needs a little bit for the tests, and the girl wonders how much Daddy spent on clay alone. At this time, the maid asks if the lady will have a chocolate muffin for dessert today. The little girl immediately replies that she really wants it, and the woman says that then she will go and cook. But this time, the lady will be careful not to fall, to which the girl agrees. The girl understands that her simple construction is finally beginning, and she will test the clay in a great mood and go eat a muffin. But a little later, the lady realizes that this is a failure, because this clay does not mix with water at all. Vivier wonders if the properties of clay are completely different from what she knew on Earth, and no matter how she tried to mix them, failure awaited her everywhere. But in her past life, she didn't know about this, because she didn't have a chance to try. The lady also thinks that this is a disaster, because it is completely impossible to build a house from this clay. So we need to come up with another way. At this time, someone else thinks it's too dark there. The boy also thinks who he is, after which someone says to remove the child. Well, if you think about the prophecy, it would be better to put it into eternal sleep at least now. And the prophecy is not needed in order to follow it, and in order to use it. From that moment, the boy continues to sleep and his name. But suddenly, the boy remembers how someone said that she was pleased to meet a non-living body, and the boy thinks whether it is worth considering this as his name. When the lady touched his hand, the boy realized that he was feeling such warmth for the first time. The girl also said that when they get out of there, she will save up some goodies for him, and the young man understands that no one has talked to him. So he asked the little girl not to go away, leaving him alone. The young man understood that he wanted to meet this girl again. A little while later, the boy opens his eyes and asks where he is, and also who they all are. At the same moment, someone else comes into the room and says that the boy just now woke up. The young man once again wonders where he is now, and wonders if that girl is there. Someone else asks how this guy will change from being rude to the Count, but the man replies that everything is fine. He also claims that the guy is in a place called Belida, and it belongs to the county of Iret, after which he points to the priest who saved him, named Georgie, and also says that the boy can thank him. The young man asks if he is talking about the priest, about men claims, which is more precisely a priest in exile. And judging by his face, the priests did something to him, to which the young man replies that he knows only one thing. "High Priest Lefel, what have you done with his body?" The Count then asks the guy's name, to which he replies that he was called an inanimate object. At the same moment, another man wonders how they could come up with such a terrible name, and the boy replies that he really likes this name and remembers how the lady held his hand. The main character is playing with clay at this time and realizes that she has now returned to the starting point. If clay behaves this way, then the properties of other materials may be completely different, and this complicates everything. If Sylph were with her now, they could find out everything together. But after that, the color of the spirit's patronage changed. But at the same time, people think why the name of this stone is not Sylph's patronage, but the patronage of the spirit. Perhaps with its help, it is possible to summon other spirits, because in the history of the King of Spirits, there was also something similar. Maybe the color changed, not because the stone broke, but because the essence of the spirit changed. Now the stone has turned brown, and the lady is wondering if it could be that it has changed its element. After which, the lady wonders what the spirit of the earth is called. In the history of the King of Spirits, she briefly saw what this name was, and now the lady remembers it. After which, he turns to the King of the Spirits of the Earth, named Terra. Well then, nothing happens, and the lady understands that she knew it all along. Spirit hotels in the Empire that have signed a contract with the Spirit King, so how can she summon him? And what kind of powers could she have? But at that very moment, the stone begins to glow, and the little girl in shock asks what it is. After which, she sees a woman in front of her who tells the child to call the hospital, that she is glad to meet him, and asks why she decided to call her. The main character is shocked and asks if she really called her. And in her thoughts, she wonders if the Queen of the Spirits of the Earth really came to her. The woman replies that it is true, and although it is surprising, it was the girl who called her. Vivier claims that she did it by mistake, and then asks for forgiveness. Terra asks if this is true. The main character understands that, even though she said it was a mistake. But it seems that this did not spoil her mood, and even on the contrary. The woman at this time says that if the lady has something to say to her, she can just do it. The main character realizes that she even seems to like her, but at the same moment, the girl begins to feel bad. Vivier claims that she suddenly felt dizzy, and the woman claims that usually people's bodies can hardly withstand contact with her. Therefore, she will come to her again. But the little girl at that very moment screams that she wants to ask only one thing before she leaves. After which, he wonders if there is a material that becomes sticky when mixed with water. And after drying, it is so strong that it cannot be destroyed. The woman replies that of course she knows one like that. There are even 3 materials suitable for these conditions. The baby understands that finally, a glimmer of light has appeared in the impenetrable darkness of this hopeless situation. A little while later, the maid tells the lady that it is almost time for bed, so she should not eat too many tasty things, to which she agrees. But Jane says that there is nothing on the plate, after which he asks if she knows who ate it all. The woman with a smile on her face says that it is true, after which she asks who this scoundrel is, and also says that the lady is so sweet. When the girl came home, the maid asked the lady if she had been able to rest, since some time ago she had looked unwell. The girl replies that everything is fine now, after which the maid takes out something else, and she claims that Mrs. Medina sent her a letter. She asked me to tell her that she wants to see the lady, after which the maid asks what the lady will do. The main character opens this letter and sees greetings from the lady. The girl also asks if Vivier remembers how they had fun walking. She is already worried that she misunderstood her, but the main character thinks that she misunderstood. And in the letter, Medina writes that they have very little time left there. So she asks if the girl wants to have tea together tomorrow, and she wants to make amends and will also wait for her on the terrace. A little while later, the main character approaches her, and Medina says that Vivier she came after all. The girl understands that of course she became curious about what she would say, so she went out to this lady. But then the little girl thinks what kind of awkward feeling this is, because she doesn't look like usual. The lady even put on simple clothes that were unusual for her. Medina wonders at this time if Vivier was uncomfortable all this time because of her. After which she claims that she wants to tell her something from the bottom of her heart, and wonders if the girl will be able to listen to her. Medina also asks if the girl was surprised by her letter, and the main character replies that she was a little surprised, but asks what she wants to tell her. Her interlocutor claims that she will only tell Vivier about this, and in fact, everyone around her does not particularly like her. She doesn't know the reason, because she tries to be friendly with everyone, and the girl asks if Vivier also thinks badly of her. The main character wonders if she really doesn't realize that her interlocutor claims that she treats the girl in a special way. So I want to ask if she might like it. The main character understands that today, she has perfectly entered the role, after which the little girl says that it's okay, and understands that she doesn't want to argue over such nonsense. The lady then thanks her and says that the little girl will now treat her like a friend. In that case, if she doesn't mind, she wants to stay in the Duke's castle longer. Friends can ask each other for such little things, and the main character is shocked and wonders what she is talking about. A little while ago, her mother told Medina that she knew very well that it had become more difficult for her father to borrow money. And all this is because of the scoundrel Vivier. But they can't just leave the Duke's castle. Having not achieved any results, therefore, let her come up with some effective method. After this, the girl told her mother that she would try to do at least something. The little girl also understood that Vivier was much worse at believing than her and had not received any education at all. But she doesn't understand why she has something that she doesn't have. And now Medina is talking. That in fact she doesn't want to leave the girl alone in the Duke's castle. Her parents say they are going to a meeting on entrepreneurship, but she is afraid to go to Duke Schwitz. After all, Lady Schwitz is offending her there. She also asks if the little girl can ask her uncle about it. Medina thinks that if she had been born into the Adanti family, everything would have been different. The main character doesn't even know what to answer, and her interlocutor wonders if she can just get out of it if she asks her about it like that. Of course it's a lie. But does it matter? There's nothing better than using friendly affection. Vivier apologizes to Medina and says that she doesn't know what happened. But it's hard for her to do that for her, because Daddy's always so busy. Let her not cry, because the girl can always come visit her. But at the same moment, her interlocutor says that she wants them to always be friends. The main character, looking at her facial expression, thinks what kind of look this is. But at the same moment, someone else turns to the two ladies, and she apologizes for being late, after which she claims that she brought a lemon cake with powdered sugar so that they could have a snack. But she arrived too late. The main character immediately runs to the cake and tells Medina that it is really delicious. Let her eat it and gain strength, to which her interlocutor replies that yes, and it is probably delicious. A little while later, Vivier wonders if it was in vain that she went to this girl, and people don't change so easily. The girl understands that she won't get caught a second time, and in her thoughts, she asks Medina to never come there again. As the lady moves on, she hears someone addressing the Baron and saying that he, too, is amazing, and that she could immediately discern his talent. The man then sincerely congratulates him on the support from the elder, and the main character understands that this is Euston and Baron Ostis. The girl doesn't want to run into the Adagio family anymore, so she needs to go quickly. Jane turns to the lady at this time and suggests going together. But when the lady turns the corner, she suddenly runs into someone's leg. The man immediately asks if the lady is okay, and the main character, looking at him, understands that they have collided. Her interlocutor claims that it seems he did not introduce himself, after which he claims that he is the Baron of this duchy, and his name is Geron. Ostas, he also controls Sherid. The main character claims that she is glad to meet them, and when she introduces herself, she claims that they only collided slightly, so everything is fine. The man then asks if he can inquire where the lady is heading, since as an apology, he wants to walk her home. Vivier replies that she met with Medina on the 3rd floor and is now returning, so he can ignore her. The man then asks if she met the young lady Adagio, and that's how it was. He has heard about her wonderful character, and if they become friends, the ladies will be able to learn a lot from her. The main character understands that he is greatly exaggerating, after which she tells the Baron that it seems he knows Medina very well, but at the same moment, the maid turns to the lady with concern. The main character wonders why she was so surprised, and the Baron claims that they are complete strangers. The man also says that it looks like he has crossed the line, and if the lady is busy, then it's time for him to go. The girl understands that he certainly looks friendly, but for some reason, she doesn't like that he hangs out with the Adagio family. The Duke at this time sits with papers and examines the carriage that belongs to his brother. At the same moment, someone reports that Mrs. Vivier has come to him, and when the little girl stands at the door, she wonders if there really is no answer. And also, should she stay behind closed doors, because he is busy. But at that very moment, someone suddenly opens the door. It turns out to be the Duke, and the little girl is scared. The man at this time claims that it means he heard everything correctly, and the main character says that she didn't know that he was still working, to which the man replies that he can finish the work tomorrow. Then the little girl invites him to go to dinner, but tells Daddy that it's her birthday present. She couldn't choose him, and they agreed that she would choose later, to which the man replied that it was correct. But he wonders why the lady suddenly started talking about a gift, to which the little girl smiles, and she claims that she has decided what she wants to get. A little while later, they are already at the table, and the little girl claims that her father said that she could ask for anything she wanted. So now she wants to talk about a birthday present. Then she asks if she can get it in cash. The man suggests they talk about it over dinner. A little while later, the little girl says that only her favorite food was prepared in the kitchen, and she doesn't understand how they found out. At this time, the Duke says that it is true, and it looks like you need to pay the head chef a bonus this month. The little girl claims that her father wanted to execute him last time, to which the man replies that in any case, since she has no health problems, let her eat. Then the girl wishes you a bon appetit and starts eating, and also says that it is delicious. The Duke, watching her, only smiles, and then asks how much money she needs, to which the main character replies that she needs as much as her daddy loves her. But looking at the expression on the Duke's face, he wonders if this is really an impossible number. The man immediately turns to the butler, and when he approaches, he asks what reward they received from the king for defeating the monsters. His interlocutor replies that it was about 80,000 in gold, after which the man said that all of this should be moved to Vivier's room. The main character is shocked and wonders what he is talking about, and she doesn't know exactly the value of money in today's world. But the carriage that Euston bragged about cost 50,000. So it's about 100 million won, or 150. For this, the hammer must be paid back properly, and the girl turns to her daddy, and also says that for some time you can't go to the second floor. The man asks why, and the little girl replies that thanks to her daddy, she is so happy that she is afraid that all the walls will be torn down. Then the entire second floor will become one room. The man replies that in that case, the third floor will also become the same, which surprises the main character, and she realizes that she still can't get used to such a reaction. After that, the girl realizes that she needs to return to their topic and asks her daddy if there are guilds in their domain. The man asks where she heard about this, to which the girl replies that Euston told her about it. In this country, there is a mercenary guild, an information guild, and a workers' guild. She had heard of 3 such guilds because they existed 100 years ago. The only thing that took a step back was the architectural technology and the workers' guild. A little while later, the girl already enters one of the guilds and screams that she wants to hire 3. A little while later, she is already wondering if everyone is gathered, and when she turns to one of them, one tells him to put on 20 logs of the size she asks for, and the other tells him to find bunches of shin. Also let them get her 60 pieces of goblin skin in good quality, to which they agreed. The lady understands that even though it is late at night, the workers' guild is packed, and she heard that goblin skins are not for sale, so all the hunters have gathered there. In the surrounding lands of Andante, there are many goblins. Then, most of the inhabitants made a living by selling their skin. But during the time of the last duke, the trade began to decline. And in the end, the kingdom of Ethan was the last to abandon leather, so now there is nowhere to export. But 100 years ago, the volume of trade was completely different, and it's even a shame. 4 days later, the girl already sees all the materials in front of her and claims that they should be enough. Fortunately, taking advantage of the spirit's patronage turned out to be easier than she thought. And if you want to call upon the spirit of the wind, you need to move your hands over the spirit's patronage. Soil, water, fire, these spirits are also inside the medallion, and now the lady has learned that they can also be summoned. At the same moment, the girl turns to Tara, and the woman says that they haven't seen the child summoner for a long time. The main character wonders if she is not surprised at all, since her appearance has changed, and the woman replies that it looks like a sacred object of time did it. This does not surprise her, because her eyes see not only her appearance, but also her spirit, burning with pure light. The main character asks if her light is really pure, after which she thanks the lady and thinks that she is even ashamed for having begged her daddy for money like that. The baby claims that she wants to ask Tara for something and wonders if she can do it. The girl says that she needs a huge bunker 3 floors underground, and she is curious if there is a suitable place there. The woman replies that it is not difficult at all, and asks the lady to wait a little. The main character then hears some sounds. A little while later, the woman claims that everything is ready. Vivier is shocked, wondering if caves really just appear like that, and the woman tells the lady to go down there and offers to meet her down below. When the baby goes down, she gets excited, and her interlocutor asks if she likes it. Vivier answers that yes, and it's so great, after which she thanks the woman and says that thanks to her, she can get to work with peace of mind. But at that very moment, the lady turns to Vivier and asks her to wait a little before starting work. She also wonders if the girl wants to accidentally summon other spirit queens. The main character asks if she is talking about other spirit kings, and her interlocutor replies that yes, and she was the first one who was able to descend from heaven. But others are also interested in her, and the little girl is interested. It turns out that she doesn't need to do anything grandiose to summon the spirit king, and yet her interlocutor says that it is worth taking advantage of this opportunity as soon as possible, because she will miss her and worry. Then she suggests trying right now, and as the spirit queen said in the land, calling any spirit king, you can borrow power from him. They say that the sacred relic created by the spirit king was first used for its intended purpose, after which the lady asks to let her introduce 3 other spirit kings from the spirit kingdoms. Elam is the king of water spirits, and he can revive or plunge someone into eternal sleep because water is everywhere. Sylvan, who is the king of the fire spirits, cries out that they have finally summoned the real king. But he thought that he would fall into eternal sleep out of boredom. Someone else tells him to stand still. It turns out to be Sylphid, the queen of the air spirits. The main character is shocked and wonders if she really was able to summon the spirit kings. After which she greets them and claims that her name is Vivier. The girl also realizes that one of them sounds like artificial intelligence. The guy claims that he will not take care of the child and asks what she needs at all. The fire spirit king screams that if she wants to conquer the world, she should just say so. And the lady realizes that Sullivan seems too aggressive. And when Sylphid says that the baby is so beautiful and asks if she needs a little cool breeze, the main character understands that she is the strangest. Sylphid wonders what the beauty is thinking about, and the king of the fire spirits cries out that since she has summoned them, she needs to get to work quickly. The lady then just sighs, and Sullivan asks the dear summoner what is wrong with her. Someone else asks the king of the fire spirits if it is not because of him. The main character then turns to the spirit kings and apologizes, but claims that every time they say something, her head starts to hurt badly. After which, the spirits are silent for a while, and then leave, and one of them claims that they will see each other later, and the other screams that he can't help there in any way. The main character apologizes for calling them, and Tara says that if that's the case, then it's time for her to go too. Vivier says that this happens every time she talks to the spirit kings, and the girl doesn't even know how to stop it. The baby also notices another spirit and wonders when she appeared. Undine is a small water spirit. The main character understands that she even managed to see the spirit kings, and that she has already done enough today. But when the lady puts her hand in her pocket, she realizes that before returning to the Duke's castle, she needs to visit one place, after which she turns to Sylph, and a little while later, the lady approaches one of the houses. At this time, the man returns from somewhere and asks if he ate something bad at that drinking party, but his stomach hurts a lot. After which he sees a lady standing under the door and asks who she is, and also thinks what kind of person showed up at such an hour. The girl takes off her hood and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and also that last time he sold her a dagger. The man wonders if this is the girl who is engaged in trade, and the lady replies that she has a favor to ask of him, so she will get straight to the point. The man says okay, and thinks that it looks like she wants to buy something useless from him again. Vivier, she wonders if he can make pipes, because she would like to order them from him. The man is so amazed that the key falls out of his hands, and the lady says that she can pay 500 gold pieces right away and asks if he agrees, and then another 500 gold pieces when he finishes. The girl also says that she has seen several drains in this city, and the sewage system is quite good, but she asks if there is running water there, so she wants to ask him to create something unique. The man asks what this means, and the lady answers that In simple terms, it is necessary to create a special reservoir for water. If they place a barrel of water above the house, the water can always be used without much effort. It will be necessary to create a network of small pipes and then connect it to a large main pipe, and the water tank will be located at the junction of the large and small pipes. So the girl is interested in whether he can do something similar. Vivier also claims that her idea is detailed in the drawings, and she only asks him to keep it a secret and start construction as soon as possible. But the man at that very moment screams for the lady to wait and becomes interested. Will she not say, "How is the architect's plant?" After which the lady turns around and claims that her name is Vivier. And then the lady leaves altogether. A little while later, the girl finds herself in the estate and understands that if everything goes smoothly, she will be able to build another house while Eliza is away. When a lady goes to bed, she realizes that she is so tired, but she already feels bad because she listened to the spirit kings. She also had this tiresome trip to the blacksmith. The maid at this time turns to the mistress and says that it is time to get up, but the ladies ask for another 10 minutes. The woman claims that his lordship will not wait, and the little girl asks why daddy is waiting for her. Her interlocutor replies that Adagio's family is leaving tomorrow, so he is waiting for the lady so that they can all have lunch together. After this, the little girl asks if this means that they are already leaving, and understands that the time has come to say goodbye to them. The girl was so carried away by building the house that she didn't even notice how time flew by. And the woman at this time claims that she has more good news for the lady. When the little girl asks who that woman is, she replies that very soon she will be able to see Lydia and the nanny. The little girl is surprised after this and asks if this is really true. Jane says that Lydia and Nanny will soon be leaving the capital, to see each other in 3 weeks at the most. But the main character understands that the house is not finished yet and thinks about what to do. Enisa's husband is okay, and her interlocutor replies that he is, and they say that he can return home in 2 weeks. The main character says that thank God, and understands that if she had asked the spirits for help, she would have been able to do it in 3 weeks. But the problem is that Erickson had no experience in construction at all, but she saw how his eyes lit up. We must try to drop in on him next week, and now the lady says she wants to see Lydia and Eliza as soon as possible. The maid at the same moment takes the lady by the hands and asserts that the letter from Lydia and her nanny said, "What they fear most is that the young lady could forget their faces," to which the little girl replies that such a thing will never happen. Jane wonders if the lady will forget her if she suddenly leaves, to which the girl replies that of course not. After all, Jane is a very dear person to her, and she wants to share delicious food with her until the end of her days. The woman then hugs the mistress and says that she is so happy to be her servant because the mistress is so sweet and charming. Vivier only says that she has difficulty breathing, and the maid claims that she will now bring water so that the lady can wash herself, to which she agrees. As soon as the maid leaves, someone addresses the beauty. When the main character turns around, she sees the queen of the wind spirits. The woman with a smile on her face asks what she should do for her, and the girl wonders if this is really Madame Sylphide. Sylphide says that the beauty has become even sweeter and more charming in her childish form, and the little girl wonders why they suddenly came. Someone else says that Sylphide should stop, because with every word she says, she scares the child and then apologizes. At the same moment, someone else wonders what they are talking about, and the main character understands that Mrs. Tara and Mr. Elam also came, and maybe she is falling into eternal sleep. But at the same moment, someone says that there is no need to be so nervous, because they came there, because they came up with something. A little while later, the Duke's brother's family is sitting at the table. Medina realizes that today is the last day. But from the very beginning, everything didn't go as she planned, so people don't understand how it happened. If he pretends to be kind, he always comes to her aid, but the girl does not understand why it did not work now. At the same moment, someone shouts at the girl and claims that it is high time for her to get rid of the habit of biting her nails, after which the girl apologizes. Her father says that this little girl is late just like her older brother, and the woman says that the dear one should wait because it is not the end yet. She also wonders when the Senate will support their Justin and whether they will be able to continue to turn their noses up at him. In any case, there is no need to be upset, because very soon this place will be theirs. Medina understands that she shouldn't expect anything else from her family, and she herself needs to do everything to stay there. So today is her last chance. A little while later, the main character comes and apologizes for being late. The girl also says that Daddy will also be a little late because of work. After which, the woman says that Vivier is always late. She also wonders how the lady dares to make them wait, and whether she has gone crazy. Medina says that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and it's a pity that they won't be able to meet often anymore. The main character also greets the girl, after which her mother says that the lady is so lucky because their Medina takes such great care of her. She doesn't like being in her company at all, but for some reason her daughter, on the contrary, likes to be around her. After this, the baby sneezes at him and the woman screams, "Is she really laughing at her now, and doesn't the girl understand what's happening?" However, this is not surprising, because the Duke also neglects discipline, and that is why she grew up as a child without any upbringing. But at that very moment, someone else asks what she just said, and when the little girl turns around, he understands that this is a spirit that transmits words from the Spirit Kings. Sylvan. He says that the lady should just give the order, and he will fry her immediately. Sylphide claims that beautiful people deserve to hear only compliments, so she shouldn't take it personally. The little girl then whispers her thanks to the Spirit Queens and asks them not to worry about her. People understand that the Spirit Dwarves have never seen such a situation before, so their anger is completely justified. And it is probably strange for the representative to hear the voices of spirits. One of them claims that they always want to be near the lady, but they can't know how it will affect her, so they decided not to show up unless absolutely necessary. A little while ago, Raum greeted Milady and claimed that he was the representative of the Spirit Kings. It was created to connect the little lady and the 4 Spirit Kings so that the lady could always contact the kings through it telepathically. The main character claimed that it was amazing and wondered if her head really didn't hurt anymore. The baby understands that the Spirit Kings support her, and it's better for her not to pay attention to the rest at all. After which, the girl turns to Houston and asks if he understands what he is saying, or maybe he's just offended that she's going to inherit a title higher than him. At that moment, the woman screams, "How dare she!" Medina grabs his mother, and at the same moment, someone announces that His Grace the Duke has arrived. The man claims that he seems to be too late, after which he apologizes for keeping you waiting. The lady understands that there are fragrant and beautiful garden flowers around, and also delicious dishes served on beautiful plates. After which the baby understands that it is perfect, except for some unpleasant people, but that's okay because she'll eat quickly and leave. At the same moment, the little girl sees something else on the table and thinks that it's delicious and that she definitely needs to drink this lemonade. But the man tells the lady not to hurry because he is hitting her, and the baby claims that everything is fine because she can drink herself. The Duke says that she has small hands, so it will be difficult to hold a heavy cup. But the maid says that the Duke shouldn't worry because she will hold the cup, to which the man replies that it is not necessary. The main character wonders why Dad is suddenly behaving like this, and all she can do is pretend that he is right and silently take a few sips, after which the little girl thanks him, and the rest of the relatives watch this in shock. And they wonder if this is the Duke they know. The man looks at these people and wonders if they really want to say something. The Baron replies that no and does not want anything, although he simply thought of something or would like to raise the topic of financing again. But the Duke claims that he told the Baron not to expect any more money from him. But his interlocutor tells his brother that he is also the head of the family like him, and Medina is already quite grown up. It's time for her to study at the academy. He is in a deplorable state, but really wants his daughter to study there, so let him listen to his parental heart. He also tells his brother that he is also a father and wonders if he can do that. But the girl at that moment screams that she is completely fine. Her mother turns to the lady and asks if she can't see that the adults are talking. But the girl claims that she also has something to tell the Duke instead of going to the academy. She plans to apply for a position as a servant in the Duke's castle. Her father immediately asks what Medina is saying, and the little girl replies that she really likes Vivier, and she would like to get to know her better. And besides, if she becomes a servant, she will receive a profession and education, which means she will not need to attend the academy. After which she turns to the Duke and asks if he could take her on as Vivier's governess and maid. The main character thinks why she did it so suddenly, and isn't it stupid to say such a thing? One only has to look at Baron Adagio's reaction to see that this is entirely Medina's decision. The man wonders if his daughter even understands what she is talking about. The baby claims that she doesn't need any special conditions because kinship, and she promises to do everything possible to avoid causing them any trouble. She also asks Vivier if this is true, because she also said that she likes her. The main character thinks whether the girl is going to go to the very end, after which she answers that no, and she doesn't like her. But the little girl claims that she herself said, after which the Duke turns to Medina, and when you respond, the man claims that he would never trust his daughter to amateurs like her. And besides, before worrying about tuition fees, it wouldn't hurt to take care of passing the entrance exam. And if she passes it successfully, he will of course pay for the education. He made this decision because he understands how much the Baron cares about his children, to which his interlocutor replies that yes, he understands that it looks like he has lost all his funding, but he wonders why this all happened. At this time, the main character is watching another little girl and realizes that she has deliberately tilted her head so that her facial expression cannot be seen. In any case, her father's decision is quite categorical, and she is ready to applaud him, because he literally knocked the ground out of Baron Adagio's hands, from under his feet, refusing to give him money, while remaining unshakable even after the trick with the children. Therefore, he is truly a saint. At this time, someone else turns to the gentleman and says that he is sorry to interrupt his meal. But all his orders are completed, and the butler asks if he should prepare everything right now, to which the man replies yes, and let them do it. At that same moment, the lady notices some horses approaching and wonders what they are talking about. Justin immediately jumps up from his seat and claims that there is a bull emblem there. But this is the hallmark of a Lamborghini master, and his father screams that this cannot be. He also turns to his brother and asks if he really ordered it, to which the man replies that of course he did. Afterward, he confronts his daughter and, as he extends his hand toward her, asks if she finds it acceptable. The little girl, looking at this carriage, thinks that it is very beautiful, after which she asks what it is for. The man replies that, although a little late, it is a gift for her birthday. A little while later, someone addresses Madame Vivier and says that he has heard about us and will ride in that carriage for the first time today. Another servant says that he is jealous of his interlocutor, who says that it turns out that he will be able to see Lamborghini's creation in his lifetime. When the little girl looks around, she wonders why all these people have gathered there. Jane replies that it's all because of the Lamborghini carriage, custom-made colitis. This is a great rarity even for the capital, so everyone wants to take a photo with it. The little girl claims that she really does look very expensive, and understands that even Baron Adagio never moves on his own 2 feet. I was so surprised by such luxury that I even turned up my nose before turning away, and the others weren't exactly happy faces. It seemed to her that Medina was the most upset, and the little girl was wondering if she was okay. But the girl also understood that she shouldn't worry about it. At this time, the maid asks if the lady would like to have a snack before the trip, and the little girl asks what exactly, to which her interlocutor replies that this time the cooks have prepared something special, and the girl asks if these are really cookies in the shape of a carriage. The woman then tells the lady to look, because these cookies are shaped like horses, and they were even specially made dark. When the little girl asks what is on the other plate, the maid opens the lid, and she claims that this dish was prepared especially for the first trip, and that it was created based on the model of her carriage, and the best beef was used for it. Jane also asks the lady if she has already given the carriage a name, and the little girl wonders if it is really necessary. Her interlocutor replies that it would be nice, because it is the first gift from the Duke. The girl asks if it is so, and you claim that a little later, she will simply ask her dad to do it for her. A little while later, the man claims that he has been waiting for a long time, and the little girl claims that there is no need to wait any longer, because they can go. When the man presses the button, the carriage door opens, and the little girl asks in shock, "Does the door really open by itself?" When the girl comes inside, she says that it is so cozy there, after which she sits down in her seat, and the man asks if she is comfortable sitting, to which the little girl replies that it is. She also turns to her father and asks if this purchase was too expensive, and at least it is for her. But he already gave her a cash gift. The little girl understands that it is correct, so expensive that even the Baron was horrified, so she does not want to become a burden for her father. But the man only turns to his daughter and claims that this is his second birthday present. Let her not worry, because they could buy a few more of these carriages, and it would not affect his condition one bit. The girl, in shock, asks if this was really enough, and realizes that she is the only daughter in this stunningly rich family. The little girl also says that every time she sees him like this, it seems like there is a wall between them. Her father asks if she feels a wall between them, to which the little girl replies that yes, and next to her father, she feels perfect. At the same moment, the little spirit broadcasts the words of the king that he is concerned about what he heard. After all, he doesn't see any wall, and the main character understands that Mr. Sullivan is too self-confident. Elam claims that the lady is talking about a mental wall and not a regular one, and the girl understands that he is thinking in the right direction. The little girl also says that it embarrasses her a little, but it seems that her father likes it. A little while later, the main character says that the spirit brought a bale of straw, and so she thanks her and states that now she would like to ask her to do something else important. The girl asks if she can dry this straw and agrees to something. The lady understands that when construction first began, it did not go as it should, and thanks to the fact that she had experience working in this area from a past life, she was able to quickly adapt. And the main character understands that the frame is already there, but she should not stop, because she still has to prepare the white soil. This soil is more like the yellow clay that Tara talked about. The main character also understands that her arms are very tired, but at the same moment she feels something in her legs. At the same moment, the spirit conveys Tara's words that she is so sorry because she cannot help her. The girl replies that everything is fine, and understands that even if the spirit is summoned, it cannot touch anything or move objects. Sylphid at this time pities the lady and says that their beauty is so independent, and if only she could use her, they would finish much faster. But the girl replies that she really can do it herself, and understands that she simply must. The Spirit King said that her soul was pure and bright, and she was grateful to them for the support they gave her because of their sympathy for her. Now that the lady knows that the Spirit Kings are creatures of a completely different level, she simply cannot ask for their help for trifles. The mouse also remembers that she wanted to ask about something else, and there is still one more thing left to do today. She then turns to Sylph and asks if he can transport her to Eliza's house when she finishes work. The girl understands that although she met Erickson quite recently, she did not follow his work and could not bring herself to look in because I was afraid that because of her control, he might lose motivation. If everything goes without problems, then there should be a construction sign at the site of the future house. And when the little girl looks at it, she thinks, is everything really ready to start construction? The girl understands that the sewerage system is done quite well, and she had no idea that he had prepared everything so well. However, it will still be necessary to lay a lot of straw between the frames in the house and also apply at least one layer of plaster. Initially, she planned to make 3 layers so that the house would be stronger, but then it would only be possible to complete the construction of the lines with the help of spirits, and this was on the condition that there would be no problems with the sewerage and pipes. A little while later, the lady greets Erickson and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The man then says that the architect lady has finally arrived, but when people look at his appearance, they wonder what happened, to which he replies that he could not leave his place of work all this time. Because he didn't know when the director would come, the main character understands that she somehow didn't think this moment through, because she always came only at night, after which the lady apologizes and claims that it was worth agreeing on the meeting and time in advance, and she simply did not think that he would wait for her all this time. The man replies that it's nothing to worry about, and that he urgently needs to discuss one thing with her. When the girl asks what kind of person you are, her interlocutor claims that the problem concerns her water structure. If we continue in the same spirit, the villagers may suffer, and the little girl understands that this project was created to make life easier for people who have difficulty getting water, so she does not understand what kind of nonsense this is. The man at this point offers the lady to look at the map and claims that the residents of Lonetown get their water from this public well or stream. For the lady's plan, it is necessary to find a source of water and run a water supply from it. But if you do this, the well will sooner or later run out of water. The girl understands that this problem is more serious than she thought, and her interlocutor claims that, to put it simply, you need to find another living thing, and there should be more water there than in the already available sources. But she knows that the water vein is only given by the spirit of water, and he doesn't think that he will help them in this situation. The main character wonders if he is talking about the water spirit, and luckily she has Eliam, who is the king of the water spirits. Looking at him, the lady thinks if she can ask him for something similar. The girl also feels that it will be the most difficult to negotiate with him, after which the lady turns to him, and her interlocutor asks if she really wants him to help her with the water vein. To which the girl replies that yes, and he says that it is easy. The girl understands that this is great, but her interlocutor claims that he does not do it for free. Sullivan cries out that he should have been asked, because he does not play such games. Sylphid says how low it is towards a beautiful girl, and Tara says that she would really like to help. The spirit of water claims that it is none of their business, so there is no need to worry, and he is not the girl's guardian, so he sets conditions. The main character asks if he is talking about the condition, and understands that this is new for her, so she is embarrassed. But it's better than getting help for free, and the girl says that she will do whatever he wants. The little girl also asks if it means that she can hear them again, and her interlocutor claims that he will let her know about his desire later. And now he asks to be allowed to help her, and claims that he will make a water vein and bless it so that the water there will not dry up even during a drought. The girl asks if he will really do this and thanks Mr. Elam. A few days later, someone claims that he thought he gave a task that wasn't too difficult, and even then he couldn't handle it, so what a pity. The man turns to the Duke, who claims that he has already spent enough time on him. His interlocutor claims that recently he has indeed often fallen behind schedule, and the man is interested in knowing about it, or that because of him, his reputation as a duke is falling. To which his interlocutor replies that he is very sorry, and the man claims that if he is going to cheat, he needs to do it in such a way that he does not get caught, and also let him not forget why he is still there. Another man claims that the master promised to protect his son, and the Duke says that means they will choose a suitable punishment for him. He also claims that he was suddenly visited by some thought, after which he picks up something. His interlocutor asks what the Duke is doing, and a little while later, the man already claims that he will introduce himself again. After all, he is a tutor for a lady named Patrick Novus. The little girl then says yes, and asks if the Baron will teach her from today. The man replies that yes, and this is the Duke's order. And since first and foremost he is her teacher and not a baron, then let the lady not pay attention to his status and simply call him Patrick. The little girl agrees to this and wonders if this person really is her teacher. She certainly heard from Jay that there is a place for everyone who seeks, but he is a swindler who cleverly changes masks and cruelly acts against the nobles, thereby worsening the Duke's reputation. The main character understands that she has zero interest, but then she remembers how last night her dad said that, however, he is a fairly educated man, and the lady has something to learn from him. He is loyal to him as a duke, and even if this man decides that he is smarter than him, he can easily put him in his place, but Vivier is better off hiding his genius. The girl immediately answered that she was not a genius, but her father also asked who she was then. Let the little girl just remember that the main thing is never to use formulas in front of him. A little while later, the man claims that before the class starts, he will have one task for the lady, and the girl claims that she has never heard of tasks. The man then says that he doesn't know the lady's level of knowledge, and therefore he must test it. Vivier asks if he is really trying to test her now. The girl understands that this was expected, but suddenly she will not meet the required standards, and the girl would not mind ending it there. But she must do as her father said. Vivier claims that she is just worried that it will be too difficult, and the man claims that it is his duty as a teacher, so nothing can be done. The main character understands that he scares her, and even though she is a princess, she is still a 3-year-old child, so it is unusual for her to be without knowledge. The man then claims that he will tell her about the content of the task, and the lady understands that she will survive these lessons upside down with her own hands. A little while later, several days had passed since the construction had been particularly active. Initially, the necessary tools were not there, so everything went slowly, but the work did not stop completely, And maybe the thing is that Erickson had prepared in advance. It also took time to install the supporting beams, but it was all done conscientiously. Today, the girl also plans to finish laying the leather tarpaulin, a fabric treated to prevent water from seeping through. After which, the king of the wind spirits claims that their beauty has a special day today, and she would really like to do all this instead of her. But the main game does not thank her and claims that everything is fine. She hasn't worked with her hands for a long time, and now it helps her to cheer up. The girl understands that last time, thanks to Eliam's help, they were able to find a water vein. The treatment with colorless plaster seemed to her the most difficult task, but thanks to the spirits of the earth, they quickly coped with it. As soon as it is installed on the roof, the construction can be considered complete, and then people understand that everything is going so well that she even feels a little awkward, because it seems she forgot about some important matter. At that moment, the girl remembers that this was an assignment from Patrick, and a little while ago. The man claimed that, depending on the lady's answers, he would decide whether to introduce classes to her or not. After which, he turned to the lady and claimed that she needed to figure out how to safely and effectively turn 1 gold coin into 1,000 zlotys. The little girl was shocked and wondered if this was really a task for a 3-year-old child, and if he was doing it on purpose. But then the lady thought that it was okay if he didn't teach her lessons, and then she was able to return to her normal life with food and games. Vivier also understands that she still does not want to disappoint her father, and a little while later, Patrick meets the Duke, and he asks if he is going to class. Patrick then thinks why there are so many people with the Duke, and also asks what he has there. His interlocutor answers that he went out for a walk, and the man thinks whether people who do not get along with me at work suddenly decided to go for a walk together. He saw his assistants whispering, and apparently, they decided to secretly follow the lesson. After which, the man thinks that it is even better this way. Vivier most likely will not be able to solve his problem, and what can she know about 3 years of forging? She will definitely give an answer lower than expected, and her level of education will be recognized as the lowest. That's when it will become clear to everyone that she is not at the right age, and does not have the right level of talent for him to give her lessons. And then, he will finally be able to get rid of the fate of teaching children for money. The man also turns to His Majesty and says that if he does not mind, he can either be present at the young lady's lesson, to which the Duke agrees and says that it turns out he doesn't even have another choice, and his interlocutor understands that this is excellent, because today he will push this lady against the wall properly. A little while later, they enter the colleague's room, and the man asks how Mrs. Vivier is doing. He also states that today is their first lesson. On this, the Duke and his assistants will be watching them. He asks if there is anything wrong with this, to which the lady replies that everything is fine, and the man asks if she has solved the problem, to which the lady replies that yes. Her interlocutor claims that he can't wait, and wonders if the lady can tell him how to turn 1 gold coin into 1,000 in the most efficient way. The man also thinks what she will answer her. He bets that the lady consulted with her maid. After which, the main character says that she has questions and wonders if Patrick told her anything about the terms. The man asks if this is so, and wonders if she is talking about deadlines, after which people claim that this is why she would offer to buy a bag of flour for 1 gold coin, and her interlocutor asks what she will do with it. The main character replies that she will store it until a drought comes, and then sell it, and over time the cost of flour will increase, and she will also be able to sell it for 1,000 gold. The servants at the same moment say that the lady is so capable because she even took into account the fact that the cost of goods changes over time. The man understands that this is a worthy answer for a 3-year-old child, but he must point out her mistakes and not let her take the test. When he wants to tell the lady something, the ladies say that another method can be used. You can go to the racetrack and place a bet, because if you're lucky, 1 gold coin can easily turn into 1,000. Although this is, of course, almost impossible. One of the knights says that the auction option is a predictable answer, but she did not forget to set a condition, that this is only if you are lucky, and said that she understands that this is almost impossible, which is why the baby is so smart for her age. Smiles after this, and Patrick asks the lady if this is all she can do. Unfortunately, the assumption that she voiced is almost impossible to implement, because he said that the main condition was to come up with an effective method, and he would even say efficient. He also says that there is a faster and more correct solution to his task. The main character claims that if he needs her to turn 1 gold coin into 1,000 right now, then she will use her personal method. After all, this is the only thing she can do because the alternative is always the right way. The baby immediately jumps out of her seat and runs to her daddy. She also asks if he will give her 1,000 gold pieces for one, after which the man replies that, of course, because she is his daughter and he will do anything for her. At the same moment, someone says that the lady is really very smart, and she didn't even ask for help, and moreover, she so cleverly found a loophole in the task. Sylphide says that if this person refuses to take beautiful people into account, then he is just some kind of fool. And Sullivan claims that such impudent people are always ready to go all the way. Choice but to clap his hands after this, and he admits that he hasn't seen such gifted children for a long time. Even despite the mistake made in his assignment, her intelligence far exceeds her mistress's age. That is why today he sincerely admires the lady and claims that he has never met such talent, because she is much smarter than he assumed. They immediately move on to a more complex program, and the main character thanks him. The Duke at this time says that Vivier well done, but the little girl says that this is nonsense, and if it weren't for her father's instructions last time, she wouldn't have voiced the last answer. A few days earlier, on the day of her first carriage ride, the League claimed that she had one question, and her father wanted to know what it was. The girl claimed that he knew that the Baron would be very jealous of their designer carriage, and asked why he had made such a gift. The man then claims that there is such a thing, but the truth is that Count Arel wanted to invite her to his place, so he ordered a carriage with protective magic, and the little girl asks if this is true. But her father claims that he refused, because she is too young, and the lady is not yet 6 years old. Vivier understands that Count Ire is the one on the maternal side, so she doesn't understand why he decided to call her. In all 3 years in the capital, she never saw any of them, and maybe it's because sacred relic that was nearly destroyed. After which, the man claims that he thinks the lady has formed a not entirely correct opinion of Count Irete. He won't say that they didn't want to contact her on purpose, but right after Sienna's funeral, a natural disaster hit the estate, and the damage was so serious that they had to deny themselves many things in order to put the place in order. But when the Count found out about this, he was very surprised, and immediately went to meet him, although he refused help, justifying himself by saying that he simply needed rest. Then he was very afraid that the lady might suddenly leave his castle, and the main character asks what this means. The man claims that the people around the Count always treat each other warmly. The atmosphere around them is very harmonious, and all this is different from the atmosphere in the duchy. But the little girl interrupts her father and says that she likes it there and wants to live in the duchy forever. The man asks why, and the lady claims that she is happy just to be near her dad. The Duke's castle is always full of goodies, and everyone is very nice, and her dad, the Duke, is very caring. The man claims that the lady is the only one who speaks about their family like that, but the little girl claims that this is true, after which her father says that if the girl has any problems or difficulties in the future, he asks her to be sure to tell about it. While he is around, the lady can ask him for anything, and the little girl thanks her father, after which she claims that she will definitely remember it. The man also asks if the girl has come up with a name for her carriage, and the main character understands that first Jane and now Dad are asking, so she definitely has to come up with something. The girl claims that she hasn't come up with anything yet, but her interlocutor claims that she should come up with something. At this time, the main character is thinking about what to name her carriage, and whether to call it a butterfly cat or a yellow Korean jindo, or maybe even a completely lifeless boy lying down, after which she still decides what to name his carriage. A little while later, someone tells the lady that the lesson is over for today, and the main character thanks Patrick. When she goes further, she hears someone screaming, "What is this?" Vivier. He wonders why the people are crowded there, and one of them screams that the unique carriage from the Lamborghini master finally has a nameplate, but it is too simple for the lady's carriage. One of them cries out that more diamonds should have been added, while the other claims that then the word kikini would not have stood out. The girl understands that she just left class, and the sign was already installed, and she cannot understand why the servants are arguing so much because of her. The people in the duchy are so strange. A little while later, the coachman claims that they will arrive at the hotel in an hour. The nanny apologizes, but asks if they could go faster, to which the man responds that they could speed up a little, of course, but it could be dangerous for both children and patients. Lydia then suggests that Miss Eliza rest while she is on the road, because she has not slept for several days. And the woman replies that she is fine, and understands that she just needs to be near Mrs. Vivier Point. She also remembers the lady and understands that otherwise Mrs. Sienna, who was watching from the sky, will be very disappointed. A little while ago, a woman asked if Eliza would be a nanny for her child too. The maid understood that Mrs. Sienna had left her job with Count Ireta and then got married and offered her to be a nanny for her child. She had all the comforts and could visit her family quite often. But the woman came to the Adante estate not because of the good conditions, but because of Lady Sienna. Despite the many difficulties before the wedding, they really loved each other, and their child could really be called the fruit of love. It was Mrs. Vivier Point. But a little while later, when she saw the baby, she thought, could this really be their mistress? Her body was thinner than her peers, and covered with numerous bruises and abrasions. This is exactly how the baby looked. Then she thought that everything would be fine, so she tried not to worry and not to follow her. But now the woman has promised herself that she will never leave the mistress again, no matter what happens, and she is wondering how she is now. A little while later, someone turns to the mistress and asks if she went to bed early. The girl replies that no, because she is very tired and wants to lie down now, to which her interlocutor claims that she has been sleeping quite a lot lately. And what if the mistress actually doesn't sleep at night, but does something else? Their main character is shocked and wonders why the maid is so smart. Busy lately, but thanks to this, the roof is now covered with skins, and Mr. Elam and Mr. Sullivan have joined forces so that the boards are flexible and suitable for making tiles. When she lowered the board to the pot, it bent over. But the lady realized that she couldn't tell Jane about it, after which the girl replied that it wasn't so, and that she was hibernating, because winter was coming. The maid then says that that's it. The lady was preparing for hibernation. That's why she ate so much for dinner. But since she's going to sleep, her body won't be able to process so much. So she will prepare vinegar for her. Well, the main character says that maybe she will just walk down the hall. The woman replies that it is a wonderful idea and claims that she will prepare clothes for her right now. A little while later, they are already walking down the corridor, and the girl says that if you think about it, it is quite cold outside, but she wonders why then it is warm in the corridors. The woman replies that the Duke's castle is controlled by temperature magic, and in the summer it is also very comfortable there, to which the little girl replies that she understood, and it is incredible. Vivier understands that she is quite warm in her home clothes, and her father is the third Duke who actively uses his magical skills. The girl also hopes that sooner or later, people outside the castle will also be able to live in warm houses. At that very moment, the little girl hears someone screaming that they will see how long he can do this, and the girl wonders who is arguing. One of the men claims that at least he will last longer than him, because he is not a scoundrel who flatters to save his own skin, and his interlocutor screams, "What is he talking about?" After all, he is a vile scoundrel who steals money without a twinge of conscience. The maid at this time whispers, asking the mistress to come back quickly, but the main character shows her to be quieter and says that she will listen for another minute. Vivier understands that first, she must understand who is speaking, and at the same moment, one of the men says that Jaron Ostas watched his language. The girl wonders if it could really be Patrick, and his interlocutor claims that it is his own fault that he got involved with a vile swindler and that he somehow doesn't care about anything. After which, he even spits, and the main character thinks how the Baron can just spit in the corridor, because even being a vassal, he is not a commoner, and she is obliged to tell her father about what she saw. But at that very moment, the little girl understands that one of them is going there, and the girl turns to the maid, but she only tells the mistress to hold on tighter, after which she lifts her up in her arms and starts running. When they finally get outside, the maid asks if they were noticed. The main character replies that she definitely isn't and asks if she's heavy, to which the maid replies that she isn't. And anyway, you can't do that, because it's indecent to spy on other people's arguments. The girl apologizes and claims that she didn't know when the couple would stop. The maid claims that she knew that they didn't get along very well, but she never thought that it would come to this. The main character at the same time wonders if those two have a bad relationship and why. She understands that she can't just ignore such news, to which the maid replies that she doesn't know if she can tell the mistress this. Well, if she asks. After which the girl tells her not to worry, because if something happens, she doesn't know anything. The woman claims that 4 years ago, Baron Novus sold half of Baron Ostis's fortune. Rumor has it that he was then captured by scammers, and even abused. But Patrick only asked why a person needs money if he doesn't even know how to use it. And the girl asks if his father still hired him even after that. The lady also understands that during the lessons he seemed to her to be such a bad person. The maid claims that it seems the Duke was very interested in the educational process, and maybe Baron Novus has some sins too. After all, appropriating someone else's property is very bad. But as Jane said, if her father hired this person, then there must be some reason for this. First of all, she will need to pretend that she did not see Baron Ostis. He is a rather suspicious person, and besides, he closely communicates with the defense official Adagio. However, she should not be prejudiced against those about whose past she knows nothing, and the girl tells Diane that in 10 more minutes she will go to bed. The lady understands that she has important things to do, that only a few days remain, so she needs to go to bed early and get some proper rest. A few days later, someone asks why Patrick came to him on Sunday morning. If it is not urgent, it is better to come later. But the man turns to the Duke and claims that he would like to discuss something important with him regarding the young lady. After which, he turns to the Duke and says that he hid some information about her from him. He said that the lady was incredibly smart for her age and that he wanted her to study the 6-year program. The Duke asks what about Togo. His interlocutor understands that, judging by his reaction, he is not telling the whole story, and even on that day, despite the presence of vassals, he came to observe personally. It must have been more than just curiosity, and he wanted to see how his daughter would behave in class. He wanted to make sure that his daughter would properly hide her abilities. Now the man claims that, of course, he shouldn't be surprised, because the young lady inherited the red liquid from her parents, so there is nothing unusual in her abilities. The Duke is known for his genius, and his wife was an excellent manager. And was her daughter also born with extraordinary mental abilities? The man also asks the Duke if he is too unreliable to know about this. The Duke asks what he is talking about, and his interlocutor understands that Madame Vivier is the man who almost became the head of the Andante family, and the daughter of the manager of Count Ireta. Irith's family is known to be in charge of the sacred relics, but they are said to also control the decisions of the royal family. And it is said that when using one of the relic's abilities, when the power of another attribute is not completely blocked, the person who uses the relic will fall into eternal sleep, and this happens because the person who is able to change the outcome of events is a kind of manager. This must be what Mrs. Vivier is 0.0. The man cries out that he understands that his competence was previously mistakenly questioned, but didn't the gentleman test his ability to detect abilities on the young lady? The man then only sighs and claims that if Patrick continues to waste his time on his stupid tricks, he will punish him with a blow for every wasted minute. Patrick screams at the Duke that it is not necessary because he was also honest with him, but at the same moment someone else screams at the Duke, and when he asks what is the matter, the servants claim that a new house has been built on the ruins of the house of Eliza, who was the young mistress's nanny, and there is even a drawing of it. Last night, the main character realized that she always looked at it only from the inside, but now she saw it from the outside, and it was so beautiful. Erickson is busy now, but if he helps her, she can move into the house right away, and it didn't take that long. But the lady did it. After that, the lady hears some sounds, and when she goes outside, she realizes that it is Erickson. The man turns to the lady architect, and the girl asks what he is doing there. Her interlocutor claims that he returned to do the water supply work that he did not have time to do during the day. He also asks if the lady knows that he is seeing a new house for the first time in his life, and that it turns out that you can really build a house with your own hands. The girl thinks that now she understands why Erickson was so interested, and it is logical that after the execution of the architects, many construction skills were lost, and people were simply afraid to start building new houses. And the main character asks if anyone was interested in his work. The man replies that no, and even if they had asked, the answer would have been accepted with a grin. The girl says that they are lucky, but still, if someone asks him who he works with, the man immediately replies that of course he will keep it a secret, and if he trembles his tongue, the lady will be unhappy. He also claims that in general, the house is already ready, which means there is no point in putting off the rest of the work for later, and he needs to finish the plumbing, to which the lady agree and thank him. The girl also realizes that she almost forgot, and if she leaves this drawing there, that even the homeless will be able to build houses. Tara at this time turns to the little girl and says that she thinks so much about others, so it inspires. The king of water spirits claims that she reminds him of a creature that creates the water people need, and Sylphid claims that it seems that now she should call her not Cutie, but Vivier. The main character thanks the Queen of Spirits. The girl also hopes that this will help her father, and Eliza inspired her, so she built the house with all her heart to somehow thank her. So she will leave the plans there, and maybe they can help other people. The lady also mentally asks that all the inhabitants of the duchy live in safe houses. Now the servants ask the master what he is going to do with all this, and the man answers that, first of all, let them check if there are any suspicious individuals near that house, to which they agree. The main character at this time lies in bed and understands that the house is finally built, and she did it. The girl also thinks that Lydia and Eliza would return sooner, and when she gets out of bed, the maid asks if the mistress has already woken up. Vivier asks if she shouldn't have gotten up early today, and the maid says that something terrible has happened in the duchy, and that's why her morning meeting was cancelled. In place of the destroyed house of her nanny, a new house appeared. Only she does not understand how it happened, and the baby understands that they finally noticed. The woman claims that the blacksmith who did the plumbing in that house is now being questioned, and the little girl asks if this is true, but her interlocutor says that nothing suspicious has been noticed about him, so he should be released soon, and the girl sighs with relief. The lady understands that if there are no problems, then the house will belong to the nanny, and today she will need to meet with her father to make sure of this. A little while later, when the girl walks through the Duke's estate, then everyone is whispering about this house, and the girl understands that apparently it had a strong influence on everyone, because everyone seems to be on edge despite the day off. One of the servants at this time turns to the lady and tells her to go out, after which the little girl claims that she has arrived. The Duke then greets his daughter, and the girl asks if she can ask him about something, and the man tells her to ask. The lady claims that Jane told her that Eliza now has a house, and she wonders if she can see what it looks like. The Duke replies that an investigation is currently underway into how exactly this house was built, and the little girl wonders if this will be Eliza's house after the investigation. The girl wonders if this is really causing problems even in this day and age, but she heard that a suspicious house could be torn down, after which she even asks in her thoughts that this house remain a nanny. The man claims that according to the national law of Ivriton, everything that is on the owner's territory belongs to him, and as soon as they solve all the problems, she will be able to live there. The little girl asks if her father is so claiming that the nanny cannot live there now. The main character asks why, and the man replies that because of course it is impossible to live in a house without furniture and a bed where there is only one blanket. The girl understands that she definitely forgot about this, but the man claims that she will have to spend some time to arrange everything. The lady then turns to Dad and says that it is possible to buy furniture, after which everyone claims that she wants to give it to Eliza. The man asks if she really wants to give her furniture, to which the lady replies that yes, the nanny took such good care of her, and they haven't seen her for a long time, so when she returns, she wants the woman to be happy, to which her father replies that this is a great idea, and then he also wants to make a gift for her nanny. The main character wonders if Dad is the same, and the man claims that this time she had to suffer a lot in a new place, so it would be good for her to find a home in which she can rest. The girl asks if this is true and claims that Dad is the best. Vivier wonders why there are rumors about the cruelty of Duke Andante. He is such a good man. But at the same moment, the spirit asks if the little girl wants to tell him anything, because he is also quite good inside. The little girl understands that Sullivan is angry again, but then she turns to her father and says that in that case she will go to bed. But at the same moment, the man turns to the lady and says that Baron Novus seems to have noticed her genius. The girl asks if this is true, and her father claims that he does not know that the lady uses formulas, but he thinks that the Baron realized that she has higher mental abilities than her peers. The lady understands that although she pretended that it was very difficult for her, she still could not deceive him, and that is why, as the next task, he told her to solve the problem. With goblin skin in Ivriton. Goblin skin was used in construction, so it is not in demand at all now, and in addition, there have been problems with export lately, and therefore its stocks are accumulating. They say that the Andante Duchy, which has the largest number of Gambian colonies in Ivriton, suffered greatly from this, and he asked her to think of a way to solve this problem. The girl understands that, even though he is her teacher, isn't this too much? After all, she is only 3 years old. Duke claims that the quick-witted Baron Novus does not care at all about this, and does not particularly try to hide his interest. The main character replies that she understands, but her interlocutor tells the girl not to be upset, because very soon she will be able to meet the furniture maker. The baby is happy after this, and a little while later, someone says that it is a great honor for him to meet Mrs. Viviera. The man claims that his name is Henderson, and that he is a furniture maker, after which he also shows his daughter, Iris, who came today as his assistant. The little girl at this time says that this is really the Duke's castle. The main character wonders how old this girl is. Her interlocutor then becomes embarrassed and greets the lady and also claims that her name is Iris. The main character thinks that this is so unusual, after which she turns to Jane and asks if she can bring some cookies, because Iris would like to eat. The little girl immediately replies that no, and there is no need to worry. But the main character claims that she herself wants to treat her, so she offers to eat cookies together, to which she agrees and thanks the lady. Vivier. She says that while they are bringing the cookies, she suggests discussing the details. The girl says that she heard that a new house has recently appeared in the village, and her nanny will live there, so she would like to give her some furniture for it. Vivier also claims that she has prepared a drawing, and when she shows it to the furniture maker, he is surprised, scribbles in front of him, and the main character claims that these are pieces of furniture that she would like to order. She also asks if he can do this, and the man is only interested in whether he should do everything as in her drawing. The King of Fire Spirits tells the little girl that something seems wrong there, and Sylphid asks what he is saying, because drawing for this girl is almost art. Vivier claims that this is a schematic drawing, after which the man claims that in any case he understood the idea and asks if the lady has any wishes regarding the color. Snipers does not answer that she has not thought about it yet, after which the little girl asks, "What if we make a single color of furniture for each of the rooms?" She also wonders if the lady was in that house, and the main character understands that, of course, she built it herself. But the girl still replies that not yet. Her interlocutor claims that it is easier to arrange furniture if you know how everything is arranged there. And then she claims that she drew a rough plan quickly. As the lady sees it, the house looks something like this, and the main character thinks that it is incredible because the girl drew an exact plan of what she built, and Iris is very observant. The girl at this time claims that she thinks it would be useful to know who else from the family will live there, but the main character understands that she does not know such details. At that moment, the maid puts cookies on the table and claims that in fact there will be her, one boy and one girl, aged between 8 and 10 years old. Vivier understands that the nanny has children, and the furniture maker claims that if the lady asks her for advice, then dark furniture is good if she plans to use it often, and then it will look like new longer. To which his daughter replies that this is true, because replacing furniture is not that easy. Besides, the house has white walls and large windows, so if you hang white curtains, the rooms will be quite light, and she is so envious of the person for whom this house was built. Vivier understands that she is so embarrassed to hear compliments, and the man wonders if he can ask why the lady wanted a leather sofa. The girl answers that it is because it looks quite luxurious and is more durable. The man replies that this is true. To tell the truth, it is quite difficult to get leather for sofa upholstery, since the Kingdom of Yemen, which traded leather for sofas, stopped exporting it, and there is very little of it left on the market. The main character wonders if the trade problems have really spread that far. The furniture maker claims that it will most likely take about 3 months to get the leather from the capital, and the little girl asks if there is another option, to which he replies that there is, but he is not sure if the lady will agree. He also asks if the girl wants to know about him, after which the lady replies that she does, and asks to tell her what this option is. Vivier asks why he is offering to replace the skin, to which the man replies that they mainly use a fabric padding. Well, due to the ability of the material, cotton rots quite quickly, so it needs to be used in several layers, and then they put on a special cover. But of course, fabric is much more difficult to handle than leather, and it gets dirty quite easily. The main character wonders if they really wrap the sofa in several layers of fabric. But if you use the sofa for a long time, it will need a special cover that won't get dirty. After which, the main character realizes that she seems to have the right option, and she wonders if it is possible to use the Koblenz 1 leather that was used in construction. It would be possible to make a cover from this leather. Believe that Koblenz leather does not let water through, and therefore does not rot for a long time. Furniture makers are interested in whether Koblenz leather really has this property, to which the lady replies that it does and claims that she will show him. A little while later, the man claims that this is incredible and that he is not involved in construction, so he could not even imagine that it could be used to make furniture. And besides, there is quite a lot of it on the market now, and since it is sold at a low price because of this, it will significantly reduce production costs, all thanks to the lady. The girl claims that she is glad that she was able to be useful and understands what is happening. They just did her homework. It seems like a great solution to the goblin skin issue, considering its domestic sales potential. But perhaps this will not be enough, so we need to think some more. And then the main character says that Iris also worked well today and made a very good impression. The little girl asks if this is true, after which she claims that there is nothing wrong with it, because her mother taught her everything, and before that, she was her father's assistant. Vivier says that's how it is, after which he asks why the girl came today, to which she replies that due to family circumstances, her mother had to leave for her homeland in Schrazel. The main character wonders where this place is, and her interlocutor claims that the lady probably doesn't know where it is. It's a small island state where it often rains, and there are a lot of different furniture materials. The main character wonders if this is a country with materials where there is a lot of rain, and then she understands that this information will definitely be useful to her. A few days later, someone screams that the day of the competition has come, so she suggests trying hard today, to which they agree. But at that very moment, the little girl enters the room and addresses the cook. The man turns around and asks if this is really Mrs. Vivier Point. The girl greets him, after which the man also greets her, and states that his name is Hans, and that he is also the Duke's chef. The man also wonders why the lady came to him, and the little girl replies that she has wanted to thank him for a long time, because all the food he cooks is so delicious. The cook asks if she is really saying that. The lady claims that all the people who work in the kitchen do the same, so she is very grateful to them all. The man claims that he would never have thought that she would come to thank them personally. One of the workers says that the lady just came and said thank you to them, so they are so happy. One of them claims that she will cook her the most delicious dessert in the world, and the other says that the lady is the best because she will work for her all her life. The main character understands that she is too uncomfortable in such an atmosphere. The little girl also turns to Hans and claims that she has a request for him, to which the man replies that he listens to the lady and tells her to ask and not be shy. The main character says that she came to the kitchen today because she wanted to cook something. The chef is surprised after that, but says that gender is not necessary because he can quickly cook whatever she wants. The girl then apologizes for distracting them, but claims that it is really very important, after which she asks if they can help her just once. At that moment, one of the maids drops her bowl and cries out why the chef doubts. After all, Their mistress asked for help, and the other cooks answer that the tavern is the one who can help her. The main character at this time feels a little awkward and thinks that maybe she shouldn't have asked the boss about this. But the man claims that they are probably right. After all, if it weren't for the mistress, he wouldn't be there at all, after which he keeps screaming at her to tell him what exactly she wants, because from now on, he will put the mistress' requests above all else. The girl then thanks him and claims that she will try to do everything quickly. The Duke is sitting in his office at this time, and someone claims that, firstly, nothing dangerous was found in the house, because the knights had already examined everything. But the drawing is a problem. Maybe it is one of those fake drawings that they thought were destroyed. The fact that dissatisfied cheap materials were used in the construction also raises some doubts. Another man claims that everything looks perfect and therefore doubly suspicious, while the man at this time understands that this is a waste of time. The housing problem is one of the main problems in Everton. Refugees who have lost their homes are uniting in groups, and this creates problems for the state. And yet, the house and the blueprint that suddenly appeared, although not entirely reliable, mark a good start for the realization of a long-standing dream of construction. They started receiving letters from residents of the lonely city who would also like to get their own house, and one of them said that if they try to build 3 of the same houses as a kind of test, and then it would be possible to continue construction not far from the lonely city. But at that very moment, all the participants of the meeting turn around and look at something. The Duke asks what happened, but at that very moment, someone addresses him as a father. It turns out that the main character baked the cookies. One of the onions apologizes to the lady, but they say that now is not the right time, because they have a very important meeting. The little girl understands that she is very sorry, but they are discussing Eliza's house there, so she had to stop them, after which the little girl, with tears in her eyes, asks if she really interfered with them. The girl understands that the best tactic is to look naive. Vivier claims that she brought cookies because I was afraid that Dad might get hungry while working. At this time, the man turns to the servants and asks who dared to cast a displeased glance in the direction of his daughter. At that moment, they all fall silent, and the man tells the little girl not to worry because she didn't interfere at all. But he also wonders where she got the cookies, to which the little girl replies that she baked them herself to treat her dad while he was at a meeting. The man, with a smile on his face, wonders if she really baked them herself, and that means these are special cookies. The girl also tells him to be sure to share with the others, to which he replies that of course. The little girl also claims that she would like to spend more time with him and wonders if it is possible. But the man replies that of course, and offers her to sit down, after which everyone offers him to continue their meeting on construction issues. The main character thinks that this is good, and she should be attentive to understand what is happening. But a little while later, someone cries out that if all the knights are sent to work on construction, who will remain in the Duke's castle? Another replies that this is true, because with such a decision, the castle's security will be at risk. He also says that many factors need to be taken into account, and that's why experience is important. But his interlocutor cries out apologetically, but asks if he can also speak out, because they haven't finished yet. The lady understands that she came to listen to their meetings, but they only argue emotionally, forgetting about the essence, and cannot even make one simple decision. In any case, she is glad that no one objects to the fact that the house will belong to the nanny. But at the same moment, the main character looks at Patrick and thinks what is with his eyes, because it seems he is waiting for something. Viviera wonders if he really wants cookies, then turns to the maid and tells her to come to her. When Jane comes, the little girl whispers to her to take some cookies to Patrick. And she thinks, where is the gratitude? And the man just looks at the cookies in surprise, and the girl understands that maybe he didn't want them. The Duke at this time looks at him coldly and seems to ask how dare he be dissatisfied with his daughter's cookies. The little girl thinks why they are all on edge today, and the meeting was obviously spoiled and failed. Therefore, she herself will direct this meeting in the right direction. The little girl turns to her father and claims that she has a question. Then she asks if only knights can build houses, to which the man replies that not only, but for this, they need a lot of people who could do the hard work, and since they need to recruit them as soon as possible, they want to attract knights. But the little girl wonders why they can't hire the unemployed. She recently learned about goblin skin, and that there is a problem with goblin hunters who are out of work. Goblin hunters are very strong and therefore could build houses. This way, they will give work to the unemployed, and the knights of the duchy will be able to perform their duties as before. The Duke then smiles and pats his daughter on the head, says that she is very smart. After which, one of the meeting participants says that this is a really good idea because goblin hunters are a great solution, although not without difficulties. Everyone immediately starts clapping the lady and claims that her idea is truly wonderful. The Duke also claims that Viviera has done a good job today, and the main character wonders what they would do without a 3-year-old child. The man says that he thinks he should give her a reward, and if she wants something, let her say so. The little girl asks if it's true, and then says what she wants. A little while later, the meeting participants ask how she could come up with such a thing at such a young age. Everyone is too focused on that house and the plans. Another one claims that he didn't even think about goblin hunters, and it's just genius. And another one claims that he tried the cookies and literally fell in love with the taste. Another man at this time realizes that things are bad because Viviera's reputation is growing day by day. If this continues, Euston will remain at a disadvantage, and last time he could only support the others. But the girl has already secured the support of the other vassals so firmly, so is it now possible to turn their preference towards another child? The man wonders if anyone would agree to support this stupid and arrogant Justin. After all, this is just one way to maintain friendly relations with Baron Adagio. He also thinks about Medina and understands that the girl is his poor secret child. She is much more dear to him than Baron Adagio, so he is obliged to take her and bring her to the Duke's castle after she graduates from the academy. Even if the Duke's daughter is against it, the girl will still live there. At the same moment, someone else claims that this is quite amusing and wonders what dirty secret he hopes to hide this time. His look is too obvious for the vile traitor in him, after which Patrick asks Baron Ostes what is so funny. The man wonders if Patrick has come to humiliate him again, and his interlocutor claims that he will give him one piece of advice since he continues to communicate with him even after he stole part of his fortune. The Baron claims that this is well said and wonders why he did this to him and continues to smile as if he were a good man, although in fact he is a criminal, and that is what they called him. But at the same moment, Patrick tells him to wait and claims that he could justify himself by saying that he was set up, but he also has pride and principles. He only seeks out weak people like him. The man claims that he knew from the beginning that he was born with the mark of a traitor, but when I noticed that he had no regrets about it, I realized that they had deservedly branded him. If people suddenly found out that he was loyal to another ruler, how does he think that will happen to him? Patrick then turns around and says that they have nothing more to talk about. The Baron wonders how much more this man knows. A little while later, the main character says that she is ready, and the maid claims that it seems that the mistress is very excited. The girl replies that yes, and in fact she is very happy that she received this award from her father. The little girl understands that even on a regular walk with her, there were 3 more people as an escort. After which she states that she thinks at the moment it is not worth calling her mistress and addressing her respectfully, to which the maid agrees. And she says that she will do as Letty says, but then she corrects herself and says that it is clear. The main character says that it is good, and that is exactly how it is, and now she asks the maid to take her to the nanny's house. As they walk down the street, one of the ladies asks the other if she has heard that the Duke will soon resume construction in their area. The other asks if it is true and wonders who will get the first houses. The old people claim that they hope to live to see these days, and the main character understands that, because of the news about the upcoming construction, people in the city look very lively. The little girl realizes that she is so happy, and the house she built is so beautiful. But when she looks inside, who wonders if it has been opened to visitors? The knight claims that the lady's nanny has not arrived yet, so it was decided to open it to visitors. The main character thinks that it is for the best that people will be able to properly examine the house. The interior of the house turned out to be quite competent, and the bathroom finally got a sink with a wash basin and a toilet. For Erickson, this was the first experience. so it was probably not easy for him. As soon as she sees him, she immediately thanks him, and then the baby turns to his sister and also offers to go to the market and agrees to something. She also tells Viviera not to lag behind her. Then the mistress extends her hand. The main character looks at the maid's torn clothes and then at her own, which is in perfect condition. Then they go to the studio and the woman says what a cute little girl came to her with her sister. But then she also wonders who is following them, and when the main character turns around, she sees 3 knights. The maid then claims that these men came for her sister, and the woman asks if that is really true, after which she screams out what bastards they are and tells them to get out of there. But the little girl says that they are not bad, and then turns to the men and asks if they can wait for them outside. One of them wants to answer that they will do as the mistress says, but then corrects himself and claims that yes. When the owner of the studio notices something, the maid claims that it is a dialect and suggests that she not worry about it. She also turns to her sister and asks if it is worth taking a look around now, to which she agrees. The main character then points to one dress and tells her sister to try this one on, and the girl asks if they didn't just come to look. Viviera claims that they came because she wants to buy her sister clothes and let her try them on. After this, the maid is touched and wonders if she really wants to buy her clothes, after which she even says that of course she is grateful, but there is no need to buy anything. The owner of the studio immediately claims that the woman has such a sweet sister, so she shouldn't refuse her, because the girl says this from the bottom of her heart. The woman also says that she should try it on quickly, because this dress will look great on her. When the maid wants to object to something, the worker only tells her to say when she finishes changing clothes, and the main character understands that the sales talent is truly amazing. While the maid is changing, she will continue to implement her original plan, after which the little girl apologizes and claims that she has a question. She also turns to the owner of the studio and asks what this thing is made of. The woman asks what she is talking about, after which she realizes that the lady is pointing to the belt and claims that it is made of 2 types of leather, cowhide, and ubrilski. The main character asks if she made it herself, and the woman replies that of course, because she has been doing this for many years. The little girl says that it is incredible, and it turns out that clothes can be made from any material. Her interlocutor replies that this is exactly it, and then the little girl states that she would like to ask something else. A little while later, someone says that the nanny can go out, and the woman thanks this man, and also understands that after almost 2 months, she returned to the Duke's castle. Finally, she will be able to see Mrs. Vivier Point. At the same moment, one of the butlers says that Eliza has finally arrived. The woman claims that they have not seen Andrew for a long time, and then he thinks that she is probably tired after a long journey, but the Duke urgently calls her to him. The woman wonders why so suddenly. A little while later, the nanny is given tea, and the man says that she has come a long way, so let her drink tea. The woman replies that it is good and thanks his lordship. She understands that she has not seen the Duke for a very long time, and whether it is possible that during her absence, his character has softened. The man at this time claims that he will probably start with the main thing. He also asks if the maid remembers his promise that he would allow her to stay in his castle, to which she replies that she does, after which her interlocutor claims that she no longer needs to stay there. The maid, shocked, asks what he is talking about and understands that she has lost her home and now cannot even stay in the Duke's castle. She also wonders if she will have to seek refuge in the village. In Italy, people who have lost their homes set up tents near the Duke's castle. Many remained wanderers because it is very difficult to return from a tent to normal life in the village. So it turns out that she can no longer be Mrs. Viviera's nanny, and, after all, she didn't even have the professional qualifications to be a nanny. And the Duke is not one of those people who easily changes his mind, after which the woman claims that she will do as he says, but he still asks to see Mrs. Vivier at least once before leaving. The man then claims that it seems the nanny misunderstood him. After all, she doesn't need to go anywhere, and the woman wonders what he meant then. The Duke claims that there is simply a new house on the site of her old one, and here is a letter from the man who gave her this gift as a token of gratitude. A new house now, and she doesn't think that she has helped someone enough to thank her with the whole house. At this time, the man asks her if she has any idea who it could be, after which the woman apologizes to his lordship, but claims that she does not know who it could be. Her interlocutor claims that they have already conducted an investigation, so now nothing prevents her from living there. Therefore, she can move today. The woman asks if she can still work for him as a nanny, to which the Duke replies that, of course she can, and he congratulates her on her housewarming and return to work, after which he also hands her a handkerchief and claims that Viviera gave it to her in case she starts crying. The woman then thinks about the lady and thanks her. A little while later, they are already near the new house. The Duke claims that it looks great, and the main character replies that it is. At this time, the man asks her how comfortable she thinks it is to ride in this carriage. She has been riding it for a long time, and the main character understands that he probably asks because he chose her without her, and that is why he is worried. The baby understands that she must do something as cute as possible and claims that it is great because she likes it so much that she thinks she will soon melt. The Duke asks if she is saying that it will melt and that the seats are probably very hot, to sit on them, and the man lifts his daughter into his arms. Viviera claims that it is not necessary because she will easily melt from embarrassment after her words, and not just like that, after which her father says that it means it was a joke, but he was already worried, so let the girl not do that anymore. The main character claims that she didn't think it would turn out like this, and understands that he was so scared by an ordinary joke. But at the same moment, someone else turns to the beauty, and when the lady responds, Madame Sylphide claims that someone wants to apologize to her. She gives a hint that it is a big fireball, and the man screams that in the end, he was worried about her. Protection is not always tenderness. He also asks Sylphide if he looks like a fireball, after which the main character mentally asks for forgiveness and suggests that they stop arguing, because if he continues to be angry, all the glaciers will melt and turn into seas. But the king of water spirits claims that in the seawater is his element, so he can fix it, and strong waves are not bad. A little while later, the little girl also asks if they are going home, to which the Duke replies that they are. And the girl understands that returning to the Duke's castle, she asked the Pope about how the meeting ended. Many goblin hunters were hired for the construction, and Father said that they would be given the right not to pay taxes for the next 3 years.